Nepal's Home Minister Sudhan Gurung steps down. Move comes amid concerns of conflict of interest. Nepal's president calls Federal Parliament session. Joint sitting is scheduled for April 30 in Singhdarbar. Parliamentary leaders of Nepal agreed to tighten rules on the use of diplomatic passports amid concerns over past misuse. Kathmandu's uneven parking policy sparks debate over fairness and consistency. Darahara's free parking initiative draws scrutiny. Iran seizes 2 vessels in Strait of Hormuz. Maritime tensions escalate as Iran retaliates. And Nepal clinches thrilling 2-wicket victory over Rwanda. Samjana Khadka shines as Nepal chases down target in ICC T20 Challenge Trophy. Good evening, I am Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere it's 13:15 in London, 20:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal's Home Minister Sudhan Gurung has resigned, saying the move is aimed at ensuring an impartial investigation into allegations linked to his financial interests. In a statement posted on social media on Wednesday, Gurung said he stepped down with immediate effect to avoid any conflict of interest and to prevent influencing the inquiry. He said recent public scrutiny over his shares and related matters had been taken seriously, describing his resignation as part of his moral responsibility. Gurung, who was appointed on March 27, also urged the public and the media to uphold truth, honesty and righteousness as the process continues. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Balendra Shah has assumed responsibility for the Home Ministry following Gurung's resignation. Prime Minister's press advisor Deepa Dahal said the Premier will oversee the portfolio for now after the post was left vacant. Nepal's President Ramchandra Postal has summoned a joint session of the Federal Parliament for Thursday, April 30 at 2 p.m. at the Federal Parliament building in Singhdarbar. The President's call comes following the recommendation of the government. The session has been called under Article 93(1) of Nepal's Constitution. Nepal's parliamentary leaders have agreed to tighten rules on the use of diplomatic passports amid concerns over past misuse. The decision was taken at a meeting of chief whips and parties' representatives in the House of Representatives. Lawmakers agreed to strictly enforce existing laws in the short term while working on longer-term legal reforms. Speaker Dol Prasad Aryal raised concerns over previous misuse cases, calling for stronger oversight. Representatives from multiple parties stressed compliance with current rules and urged focus on lawmakers' responsibilities rather than privileges. Other lawmakers warned that misuse had damaged Nepal's international image, calling for a broader policy review and tighter controls, especially during official delegations. Officials reiterated that diplomatic passports are strictly for official use, while ordinary passports must be used for personal travel. Foreign Secretary Amrit Rai said practical issues including visa challenges also need attention as reforms move forward. Acting Chief Election Commissioner of Nepal, Ram Prasad Bhandari, has said no complaints have been received so far from political parties or candidates regarding the House of Representatives election held on March 5. Receiving a report prepared by the National News Agency, RSS, on the election, Bhandari said all phases of the electoral process from candidate registration to vote counting were completed peacefully and without any demand for recount, cancellation or re-election. He said favorable conditions along with coordinated efforts and determination contributed to the smooth conduct of the polls. The report includes news content in Nepali, English, Maithili, Nepal Bhasa and Awadhi, along with around 1,400 photographs, interviews and audio material related to the election. The Lumbini Province Dang Assembly has unanimously passed a report-based bill on the management and regulation of pesticide control in the province. The bill was approved during the 15th meeting of the Assembly's 7th session. Minister for Agriculture, Land Management and Cooperatives, Dinesh Panthi, had tabled the proposal seeking discussion and passage of the bill. Speaker Tularam Ghartimagar put the proposal to a vote and announced its unanimous approval. Chairperson of the Provincial Affairs and Law Committee, Dilkumari Budha, presented the committee's report on the bill to amend the District Assembly and District Coordination Committee Operation Act 2075. Likewise, Chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, Maya Pun, presented the committee's annual report. We've got more news coming up, but right now it's time for a break. You're watching NTV World and this is Primetime News. Welcome back. The International Mother Earth Day is being observed across the world today, with events highlighting the need for collective action to ensure a sustainable future. Following a United Nations initiative, the day has been marked annually on April 22nd since 2009, emphasizing the importance of protecting the earth and maintaining environmental balance. The UN warns that oceans are increasingly polluted with plastics and becoming more acidic, while extreme weather events such as heat waves, wildfires, floods and landslides are affecting millions of people worldwide. According to UN estimates, around 10 million hectares of forest are lost every year, contributing to worsening environmental degradation. Climate change, deforestation, land use change, intensive agriculture, livestock expansion and illegal wildlife trade are identified as major drivers accelerating environmental destruction. A climate conference held in Nepal's Khumbu region has concluded with the issuance of a 9-point Gokyo declaration calling for stronger regional leadership by Nepal and other Himalayan and mountain nations on climate justice. The conference, organized by Khumbu Pasang Lamu Rural Municipality and the climate-focused organization Sat Sathai, was held in Gokyo on the occasion of International Mother Earth Day. The declaration stresses the need to strengthen climate diplomacy and prioritize Himalayan issues in international forums. It also calls for greater engagement of local communities in policy discussions on climate change. A team of experts and participants travelled from Kathmandu through Lukla, Namche, Khumjung and Machermo before reaching Gokyo for the event. Kathmandu is facing growing scrutiny over its uneven parking policy, with free parking at Dharahara complex contrasting sharply with rising fees in other parts of the city. While the initiative has eased congestion in central areas, it has also raised questions about fairness, misuse of public space and the absence of a uniform urban parking system. Sabika Shrestha takes a closer look.
Free parking at Kathmandu's Dharahara is drawing mixed reactions as the stricter and costlier parking rules continue across the rest of the city. The Kathmandu metropolitan city has made its multi-level underground parking facility at Dharahara free for public use, aiming to reduce congestion in busy areas like New Road and Sundhara. The move has provided relief to commuters but raised concerns over unequal access and misuse of public space. The facility, which can accommodate around 2,000 vehicles, is now operating at near full capacity with CCTV surveillance and security measures in place. Officials say the move is part of a broader effort to manage traffic and discourage roadside parking.
काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकामा अब धेरै यातायात चल्ने भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि स्वाभाविक रूपमा पार्किङको व्यवस्था पनि काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाले गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ र अहिलेलाई हामीले काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाको सबैभन्दा बढी सुनधाराको धराहराको तल ग्राउन्ड फ्लोरमा चाहिँ पार्किङ भइरहेको अवस्था छ। त्यो निशुल्क नै छ। त्यसको साथसाथै अहिले चाहिँ यो बस पार्क चाहिँ जुन चाहिँ भ्यू टावर बनाउनु खोजेको छ त्यहाँ तल पनि पार्किङको व्यवस्था छ र अरू पार्किङहरू भनेको यो कालोपत्र भएको ठाउँमा चाहिँ छैन। तर कालोपत्र भएको ठाउँहरूको चाहिँ चोकहरूमा चाहिँ कतै चाहिँ शुल्क कतै चाहिँ निशुल्क चाहिँ पार्किङ भइरहेको अवस्था चाहिँ छ।
For many commuters, the free service has provided relief from rising parking costs.
पार्किङ सुविधा रै धरहरा सबभन्दा राम्रो छ। मलाई सबैभन्दा मन परेको हो यो पहिला अब तपाईको यो न्यू रोड एरियामा तपाईको यो एरियामा जहाँ पनि जताततै पार्किङ थियो अलि अव्यवस्थित थियो। अब अहिले हिँड्नलाई पनि अलि बाटो त्यो पनि सजिलो, पार्किङको लागि पनि तपाईको सुविधा, सुरक्षाका हिसाबले पनि राम्रो। अब तपाईको प्रत्येक फ्लोरमा उहाँहरु प्रहरी राखेको छ काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाले। फेरि जाने बेला तपाईको हामीलाई एउटा कार्ड दिन्छ, त्यो कार्ड पनि राम्रो हो। यो फ्री पार्किङको सुविधा भनेको राम्रो र अति उत्तम पनि हो।
बाइकहरु चाहिँ 1800 जति अट्छ अनि गाडी चाहिँ 500 जति टोकनहरु बनाएको छौं हामीले। गाडीको लागि छुट्टै हरियो कलरको र बाइकको लागि चाहिँ नीलो र रातो गरेर छुट्टा-छुट्टै टोकनहरु छ। त्यो चाहिँ सुरुमा त्यो टोकनहरु हामीले आउने बेला दिन्छौं र जाने बेला चाहिँ फर्काएर जानुहुन्छ। जसले चाहिँ फर्काउनु हुन्न उसलाई चाहिँ पछि हामीले 50 रुपैयाँको जरिवाना पनि गरेका छौं।
However, questions are now emerging over sustainability and fair implementation across the capital. Some local operators and residents say the facility is being misused with long-term parking limiting access for short-term users.
सरकारले एउटा निशुल्क पार्किङ गरेछ तर त्यहाँ जनताले पाएन के। त्यहाँ व्यापारीहरूले अरु सेवाग्राहीहरूले व्यापारीहरूले ल्याएर दिनभरि भ्याक्युम गर्यो हैन। धरहराको पार्किङ भने त लगभग जनताले इजी एक्सेस पाउनु पर्ने हो नि। दिनभरि ल्याएर गाडी राखिदिन्छ, दिनभरि ल्याएर बाइक राखिदिन्छ अनि त्यहाँ आउने सर्वसाधारणले खै त पाएको थियो। त्यहाँ त एउटा कोटा सिस्टम हुनुपर्ने, 1 घण्टा 1.5 घण्टा 2 घण्टा भन्ने हुनुपर्ने, त्यो पनि छैन। त्यसले गर्दा पनि हामी चाहिँ व्यावसायिक रूपले गरेर मान्छेलाई चाहिँ सारै मार्ग चाहिँ परेको छ।
Spread across 3 basement levels and roughly 150,000 square feet, the facility can accommodate around 2,000 vehicles. The B1 and B3 are designated for 4-wheelers holding over 250 cars combined, while B2 is allocated for over 1,500 two-wheelers. Authorities say recent upgrades including CCTV surveillance and fire safety installations have improved security and addressed earlier concerns. Despite minor ventilation issues reported on one level, the facility is now functioning at near full capacity. The move, backed by then Mayor Balendra Shah, is aiming at enforcing stricter no parking rules on surrounding roads such as New Road and Kichapokari. The facility operates from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for entry with extended hours for vehicle retrieval. Commuters can park their vehicles till 7 p.m. Outside designated zones like Dharahara, residents continue to face a stricter and often costly parking Under the KMC's Economic Act 2025-26, two-wheelers are charged Rs 15 per 30 minutes and four-wheelers Rs 50 per 30 minutes. Parking costs also vary significantly across locations. In many roadside and private parking areas, scooters and motorcycles are typically charged between Rs 20 to 50, while four-wheelers can cost anywhere from Rs 80 to 200, depending on the area and demand. Critics argue the contrast has created an uneven system, benefiting those near central zones while placing a heavier burden on others. City officials, however, defend the approach as part of plans to make Kathmandu more organized and pedestrian-friendly. As the debate continues, calls are growing for a more consistent and equitable parking policy across the capital. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Rasila Shrestha reporting for NTV World.
Government service reforms aimed at bringing public services closer to citizens have increased the workload of postal services in Tanohu district, Nepal. Under a 100-point governance reform plan, authorities have begun delivering services such as passport distribution directly to citizens' homes, boosting the relevance of the postal system after years of declining activity. At the Dumre post office in Bandipur rural municipality, Chief Pratiksha Adhikari says daily mail handling has risen from around 40 letters to as many as 150. Sirish Upadhyay, the chief of the district postal office in Tanohu, says passports are now being delivered to applicants' homes in coordination with the district administration office. Officials say the initiative has helped end long queues and the need for citizens to travel hours to the district headquarters for passport collection, making service delivery more efficient and accessible. International news coming up next. For now, a short breather. Iran's Revolutionary Guard says it has seized two vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, describing the move as a response to action that it says disrupted maritime order and safety in the strategic waterway. The development comes as the U.S. extends a ceasefire deadline with Iran while maintaining a blockade on Iranian ports, linking to the extension to ongoing diplomatic negotiations. Iran has criticized the blockade, calling it a violation of the ceasefire and warning it will respond to what it describes as pressure tactics. Meanwhile, hostilities continue elsewhere in the region, with Israeli military operations reported in southern Lebanon and Hezbollah claiming retaliatory action. The situation highlights the fragile nature of the ceasefire as overlapping conflicts and maritime tensions continue to shape security dynamics across the Middle East. Now, Israel's foreign minister has called on Lebanon to cooperate with Israel in addressing the activities of the armed group Hezbollah ahead of renewed talks between the two sides in Washington. The comments come as diplomatic efforts resume following recent cross-border tensions and a temporary ceasefire.
Tomorrow, the direct talks between Israel and Lebanon will resume in Washington, D.C. I call on the government of Lebanon, let's work together against the terror state that Hezbollah built in your territory.
The upcoming talks are expected to focus on security arrangements and reducing the risk of further conflict along the border. Now, China has said the situation in the Middle East is at a critical juncture, emphasizing the need to prevent a return to conflict. The statement follows the extension of a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Beijing has called for disputes to be resolved through political and diplomatic means.
当前地区局势处于战和转换的关键阶段，当务之急仍是全力避免战端重启。中方支持相关方继续坚持通过政治外交途径化解争端，实现全面持久停火止战。 维护好中东和海湾地区和平稳定。中方愿根据习近平主席4点主张精神，同国际社会一道，为此发挥积极建设性作用。
A mass funeral has been held in southern Lebanon for fighters from Hezbollah who were killed during recent hostilities with Israel. The mass funeral took place in the town of Kfar Seir, drawing large crowds of mourners. The ceremony follows a temporary ceasefire aimed at halting weeks of cross-border conflict. Casualty figures from the fighting remain disputed, with both sides reporting significant losses. The situation highlights the human impact of the conflict and the fragile nature of ceasefire agreements in the region. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, has said he would act as an impartial mediator if selected as the next UN Secretary General. Grossi is among several candidates being considered for the role, which will become vacant in 2027.
Well, I think it is very important that we give continuity to the process. This is a complex process. We have the nuclear aspect, which is, of course, extremely complex, and this is the one where I, as IAEA, have been engaging with. But there are, of course, other important issues related to the Hormuz Passage, related to ballistic missiles, related to regional questions. So I think it's very important that an opportunity for peace is given.
The selection process comes at a time of global conflict and institutional challenges for the United Nations. More international news and sports update coming up next. For now, a short break. Amnesty International has said Venezuela's state security structures remain in place despite recent political challenges. The organization expressed concern about continued control mechanisms within the country. It also pointed to recent government appointments as indicators of ongoing consolidation of authority. The remarks come amid international scrutiny of Venezuela's political transition. Colombia's president has announced the suspension of peace talks with a major guerrilla group, citing concerns over alleged violations of agreements. The decision marks a setback for efforts to end one of the longest-running armed conflicts in the region. Despite negotiations as part of a broader peace policy, the accusations of continued violence and illegal activities have raised doubts about the process. The Kedarnath temple in northern India has reopened to devotees, marking the start of annual pilgrimage season in the Himalayan region. Authorities have implemented crowd management and safety measures to accommodate large number of visitors. The temple is part of Char Dham Yatra, one of Hindu religion's most significant pilgrimage circuits. The reopening follows similar ceremonies at other key shrines, signaling the beginning of a major religious travel period. The pilgrimage season plays a vital role in regional tourism and reflects enduring religious traditions across India. And with that, we move on to sports update. Nepal defeated Rwanda by 2 wickets in the ICC Women's 2020 Challenge Trophy. In the match played today at Gahanga Cricket Oval in Kigali, Rwanda, Nepal achieved the victory target of 89 runs set by the hosts in 19.4 overs, losing 8 wickets. Samjana Khadka top scored with 48 runs for Nepal, while Pooja Mahato added 13 and Bindu Rao added 10 runs. Earlier, Rwanda, who won the toss and elected to bat first, scored 88 runs in 19.4 overs all out. For the bowling side, Rachana Chaudhary took 3 wickets, while Pooja Mahato and Kavita Kaur took 2 wickets each. The tournament, hosted by the International Cricket Council, is being held on a double round-robin league system. Italy, the USA and Vanuatu are other teams participating in the competition. The members of a national canoe team are continuing intensive training as they prepare for the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Athletes are participating in daily sessions under the guidance of coaching staff at a training camp in Turkey. The program includes both men's and women's competitors working to improve performance and endurance. Preparations are part of a long-term effort to build competitive strength ahead of the global sporting event. Training initiatives like these reflect the increasing focus on early preparations in international Olympic sports. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories this hour. Nepal's Home Minister Sudhan Gurung steps down. Move comes amid concerns of conflict of interest. Nepal's President calls Federal Parliament session. Joint sitting scheduled for April 30 in Singhadarbar. Parliamentary leaders of Nepal agreed to tighten rules on the use of diplomatic passports amid concerns over pass misuse. Kathmandu's uneven parking policy sparks debate over fairness and consistency. Tadahara's free parking initiative draws scrutiny. Iran seizes 2 vessels in Strait of Hormuz. Maritime tensions escalate as Iran retaliates against port blockade. And Nepal clinches thrilling 2-wicket victory over Rwanda. Samjana Khadka shines as Nepal chases down target in ICC T20 Challenge Trophy. That's it for this edition of Primetime News heard on NTV World. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World. Facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified. Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Hello and welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. I am Sapika Shrestha, your host for the program. From major headlines to the issues behind them, we break down the week's top stories and explore how they are shaping the path forward. This week's episode includes Nepal's economy, global economy and Middle East tension effect in the economy. Nepal's economy is showing signs of strength with growth forecast to fall below 3% under the weight of the external shocks and weak internal demand. The World Bank and Asian Development Bank highlight risks from Middle East tensions, slowing investment and subdued consumption that could impede recovery. For the new government, the slowdown marks an important early test of its economic direction and policy response. In this context, we talked with the former Vice Chair of National Planning Commission, Dr. Prakash Kumar Shrestha. Here are excerpts of the interview. As Nepal's economy has been rising slowly, how do you view the current stage of Nepal's economic cycle?
Actually, the Nepalese economy has remained kind of slow since COVID-19. Still it is slow, and because of the internal and external impact, this year also the economy is estimated to grow around 3%. As some international institutions, they have estimated our GDP to grow by 2.5%, around less than 3%. And the National Planning Commission's few months back estimated that the economic growth could be around 3.5%. But the actual data we are going to receive quite soon, after 1 or 2 weeks.
What can we say viewing the Nepal's recent economic field?
Economic growth is sluggish, although we are still growing marginally. Although we need to have the quite high growth for our economic prosperity. But the economic growth, as I said earlier, is around 3%. It's our economic growth on an average, if you look at the past, it's around only the 4% to 4.5%. That's the average economic growth. But before the COVID-19, for 3 consecutive years, we had the very high growth because of the reconstruction after the earthquake. So at that time, for 3 years, we had average economic growth of more than 7%. Actually, we need that kind of growth. But now, after COVID-19, because of external, internal shocks, some political instability, our economic growth is hovering around on an average. And now for last 2 years, it is even below than average. And let's hope in coming fiscal year, with political stability and some economic reforms, our economy will start recovering.
Recently, our country went through Gen-Z-led movement. Also, we had accidental election. We got a new government, right? So lots of new plans and policies are on the way. So Has these things also affected Nepal's economy, or will it be a challenge?
For current fiscal year, obviously, all of these things actually impacted because of the Gen Z movement in September. That will obviously create some uncertainties in politics, and we had interim government for 6 months with a major mandate of holding elections. And after the elections, we have government with the majority, but our fiscal year is almost going to end. Only we have not even less than 3 months. So it's a new government, it's still in transition, all of things new. So many ongoing projects are disturbed. Even the new contract couldn't be given. So because of that, this fiscal year's our growth will not be high. But with the stable government, if the government start to do the reform and maintain the good governance, then from the next fiscal year, we can hope that the economy will start to recover and go above 4 to 5%.
What are the things that has been helping in Nepal's economic growth?
Tourism, hydropower, and even information technologies. They have the potentialities from the supply side. And from the demand side, obviously the government should create the environment for investment and should work on to how to increase the export, or even if you cannot export, then let us do the import substitutions. If you can do that things, then we have some potentiality. Government also has to increase the capital expenditures, and the private sector also has to increase the investments.
As the Vice Chair of National Planning Commission, what would be your suggestion to this new government to reframe in their action plan, which would help in boosting Nepal's economy?
First of all, they have to increase the government capacity, institutional capacity, doing reforms, and so that the government can deliver the things. First of all, obviously, people expecting the public service on time, on quality public service. That's the government should do. But the government so far is on track, looks on going to be on track. And let's see how the governments come up with the policy and program for next fiscal year, how the government come up with the budget. It's now the budget preparation time also. Government already started working on the budget preparations, and that budget will set the tone for the next fiscal year. How they are going to allocate. There's a lot of things to be done in the budget allocations. There's very inefficient allocations. There are the inefficient allocation, a selection of the projects. So that there's a lot of things to be do to public finance management, so that the government expenditure could be productive, could be efficient, so that that can attract the private sector investment and increase the aggregate demand in the economy.
How is this Middle East tension going to affect Nepal, Nepalese and Nepal's economy?
In the globalized world, Nepal is interconnected with the globe, and obviously there are many Nepalese working in the Middle East, and remittance is a major source of foreign currency reserve for Nepal. If Middle East crisis war continues, obviously that will impact our foreign employment and remittance inflows, and obviously that means it's not only for the government, its impact will be also for the household level. They will lose the job, they will lose the earning, and that will have the other second round impact also. That's the kind of first round impact, and in the first round impact we are also having the rising price level. These will impact the poor people more because their purchasing power is low, and that's why there will be adverse impact. Nepal cannot be aloof from this changing global environment.
What can Nepal do to be independent on such external shocks?
In the global interconnected world, it is not so easy. In the past we were, because we were not so close to the global economy. We were self-sufficiency, although we were poor. But now it's difficult, but we have to think how to be a self-sufficiency. We have to focus on the agriculture. We have to focus on our light manufacturing, so that we can engage domestically. And now the mindset is that the people want to go abroad because of good prospect. They see the good earning abroad, and they can see the good jobs abroad. That's why the people want to go. This mindset should be changed. We should work as far as possible within the country.
How do you tally these things? How should government be able to compensate people's emotion?
Government also has a pressure on fiscal pressures. Their revenue mobilization is quite low, only the 5 to 6% growth, and the expenditure is high. That's the government also facing the pressure. But for the sake of people, they have to lower the tax, and they have to lower the government expenditure through the restructuring the government institutions and restructuring the government jobs. Now we are in the federal system. Now we are 3 tiers of government, and so we have to allocate the government jobs, government role among these 3 tiers of government effectively, so that there shouldn't be duplications and some redundant institutions. Some staffs, some employees, they are not getting enough work to do. These things should be restructured, should be reformed by the new government.
So can we be hopeful that the inflation, the market price that has been raised will become stable soon?
Actually, all more than 7 billion people in the earth are being affected by this war. So let us hope it will be settled soon. And for that time, we have to be prepared. Government should also prepare, and people should also prepare, and how to manage this kind of shocks. That's why even the people should be calm and should look for the alternative, and should have some reserve build up, so that in crisis time they can manage their household liabilities.
Let us span through Nepal's current economic challenges now. From 6% to under 3%, Nepal's growth outlook is shrinking fast. Behind the numbers lies a bigger concern. Global instability is beginning to hit home, putting key economic lifelines under pressure. Let's delve deeper into this.
Nepal's Ministry of Finance has slashed the fiscal growth target from 6% to 3.5%, almost by half. While domestic factors persist, this downward revision is driven largely by escalating conflict in the Middle East, which now threatens the critical pillars of remittance, tourism, and market stability. For the past 5 years, remittances from migrant workers have served as Nepal's ultimate safety net, consistently accounting for nearly 24% of the national GDP. In 2021, inflows stood at roughly 961 billion rupees, surging to a historic record of 1.2 trillion by 2024. However, with the Middle East hosting over 70% of Nepali migrant workforce, current geopolitical strains are bound to trigger a cooling trend. Although figures reached 1.2 trillion last year, the Nepal Rashtra Bank's February 2026 report indicates a significant growth deceleration. A widening conflict threatens a major contractions in the very funds that sustain Nepali household consumption and national liquidity. Following the pandemic, Nepal's tourism sector witnessed a classic V-shaped recovery. From a historic low of 230,000 arrivals in 2021, the numbers climbed back to nearly 1 million in the 2024-25 period. The target for the current year was a bold 1.5 million arrivals. Data from the Department of Tourism now suggests that the Middle East conflict has spiked global jet fuel prices and inflated travel insurance premiums. Furthermore, European and American travelers who frequently utilize Middle Eastern transit hubs like Doha or Dubai are reconsidering long-haul travel. The 3.5% growth revision directly reflects this fear factor, as arrivals for the first quarter of 2026 have already dipped 12% compared to the same period last year. As an import-dependent nation, Nepal remains highly vulnerable to global supply chain disruptions. While inflation remained relatively stable between 5% and 6% over the last 5 years, the World Bank's April 2026 update issues a stern warning. If Middle East tensions obstruct all supply routes, Nepal's transport cost will skyrocket. Currently, inflation is hovering near 7.5%, driven primarily by high fuel costs. This supply-side shock means the increased cost of transporting essentials from the border to Kathmandu is passed directly to the consumer. This fragility ensures that if prices continue to climb, domestic spending will halt, causing economic growth to slow or stall entirely. With the government pivoting toward a cautiously accommodative policy, the national focus has now shifted from the pursuit of speed to the necessity of stability.
In a move to better understand the economy at this critical juncture, Nepal has launched a nationwide economic census. The National Statistics Office estimates that around 1.6 million establishments will participate in the exercise, helping to map the country's economic landscape. Here's an outlook. The government of Nepal on Wednesday began a nationwide economic survey across all 77 districts, deploying around 4,500 trained surveyors and supervisors. The National Statistics Office says the survey will collect comprehensive data from 21 sectors, covering all types of permanent and temporary establishments involved in the production and distribution of goods and services, as well as broader economic activities. These include industries, businesses, non-governmental organizations, and public enterprises operating within the country. However, diplomatic missions, public administration, and regulatory bodies, security agencies, and routine household activities are not included in the enumeration. To improve efficiency, an e-census system has been introduced for large establishments, allowing them to submit their details online. The office estimates that around 100,000 institutions will participate through this digital platform. A daily reporting system has also been deployed to monitor the progress of the enumeration. The National Statistics Office states that the survey will support the effective implementation of government economic policies, help identify potential investment areas, and provide a clear understanding of the size and structure of the economy at federal, provincial, and local levels.
यो कार्यक्रम चाहिँ हाम्रा करिब 4000 गणकहरू हुनुहुन्छ 4000 गणकहरू चाहिँ सबै प्रतिष्ठानहरुमा उद्योग कल कारखाना व्यवसाय संस्थाहरुमा जानुहुन्छ सेवा प्रदायक पनि हुन्छ उत्पादन गर्ने संस्थाहरु सबैमा जानुहुन्छ सानो एउटा सामान्य भन्नुपर्दा तरकारी बेचेर बस्ने अर्थात चिया पसलदेखि लिएर ठूलो बिग हाउससम्म चाहिँ यो गणना हुन्छ आर्थिक क्रियाकलाप गर्ने भन्नाले के बुझिन्छ भने वस्तु तथा सेवाहरू उत्पादन गर्ने राज्यले नागरिकलाई दिने सेवाको लागि पनि हुन सक्छ अर्थात वस्तुहरू उत्पादन गरेर फ्याक्ट्री उद्योग धन्दाहरूले उत्पादन गरेका सेवाहरू जस्तै शिक्षण संस्थाले शिक्षण पेशा दिन्छ जुन पढाउने काम गर्नुहुन्छ त्यो पनि एउटा उत्पादन हो राज्यको लागि त्यस्तो किसिमको सबै विवरणहरू सङ्कलन गर्ने हुन्छ र त्यसमा हामीले हाम्रा गणकहरू सबै ठाउँमा पुग्नुहुन्छ प्रतिष्ठानहरुमा खोजेर पुग्नुहुन्छ गाउँ गाउँ टोल वडा सबै ठाउँमा पुगेर त्यो सङ्कलन गर्ने हो
It is stressed the economic survey is fundamental to national planning, warning that without reliable statistics, policies may not deliver the intended results. The previous economic census conducted in 2018 recorded more than 923,000 establishments and generated approximately 3.2 million jobs. For the current exercise, a toll-free helpline, 1178, has been launched to assist participants. Monitoring mechanisms have also been put in place with coordination committees formed at district and local levels under the leadership of chief district officers. This is a time when Nepal, with its new administration, is making a sweeping push against corruption. The government has unveiled a 5-year strategic plan to tackle one of the country's most deep-rooted challenges, backed by a broader national reform commitment signed by all 6 major political parties. Let's take a close look.
The second National Strategic Plan Against Corruption of Nepal government covers 5 fiscal years, 2025-26 to 2029-30, and arrives amid growing public anger over misgovernance across Nepal. Its timing is no coincidence. Just days earlier, on April 14, Prime Minister Balendra Shah's government released what it calls the National Commitment, an 18-point reform agenda agreed upon by all 6 nationally recognized political parties following the March general election. Good governance and corruption control are among its central pillars. The scale of the problem is laid bare in the latest figures from Nepal's constitutional anti-corruption body, the Commission for the Investigation of Abusive Authorities, CIAA. In the last 5 years alone, the Commission filed 798 corruption cases, naming more than 4,600 defendants. The total amount claimed exceeds 31.5 billion Nepali rupees, roughly $237 million. Of more than 166,000 complaints received, over 121,000 have been settled, with around 55% of cases upheld by the special court.
निजी क्षेत्रदेखि सरकार, अरु नागरिक समाज, अरु संघ संस्थाहरू जो यसमा क्रियाशील छन्, सबैको बीचमा चाहिँ आपसी सहयोग, समन्वय र सहकार्य र साझेदारी विकास गर्नु पनि जरुरी छ। यी सबै चीजहरू भयो भने मलाई लाग्छ अब यसले निश्चित गरेका ऐन कानुनहरूको परिमार्जन नयाँ बनाउने पनि छ, संस्थागत सुदृढीकरण सुधार पनि होला। यी सबै चीजहरू लाई चाहिँ प्रभावकारी रूपमा चाहिँ भनौं न त्यसलाई चाहिँ अगाडि बढायो भने यसले धेरै योगदान नै दिन्छ अथवा सहयोग नै गर्छ भ्रष्टाचार नियन्त्रणमा भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ।
Strategic plan sets out 5 reform pillars: strengthening legal institutions, leveraging digital technology, criminalizing corrupt acts, building investigative capacity, and meeting international anti-corruption obligations. On the legal front, the plan calls for amending or creating key laws, including the Commission for the Investigation of Abusive Authority Act, the Prevention of Corruption Act, and the Military Act. The national commitment goes further, promising to investigate the assets of all public office holders going back to 1990, end political appointments in regulatory bodies, and legally define the roles and powers of both political and administrative leaderships.
Commitment हो, अब त्यो कमिटमेन्ट अनुसार उहाँहरुको काम हुनु पर्यो, स्रोत हुनु पर्यो, हैन? त्यो उहाँहरु लाग्नु पर्यो त्यसमा। अब त्यो त चाहिँ भविष्यले देखाउने भयो नि त।
On the ground, the plan aims to make corruption easier to report and harder to ignore. Citizens will be able to file complaints through mobile or online platforms with a tracking system to ensure accountability at every stage. Public office holders will be required to maintain transparency profiles. Oversight will be structured at the highest levels: a steering committee led by the Prime Minister at the federal level, and implementation committees under chief ministers across Nepal's 7 provinces. The government has invited public feedback on the draft with a 15-day window that opened on the 13th of April.
In the meantime, a sharp surge in aviation fuel prices and supply constraints is disrupting Nepal's domestic air travel sector. The impact is forcing airlines to scale back operations while pushing airfares higher, reducing overall passenger movement. Here's a report.
Nepal's domestic aviation sector is facing a sharp contraction, with the market shrinking by nearly 30% due to a shortage of aviation fuel and a steep rise in prices. Private airlines across the country have reduced the number of flights, citing declining passenger demand. Operators say higher airfares driven by increased fuel cost have discouraged travelers from flying unless absolutely necessary. Since April, the price of aviation fuel has more than doubled. In response, domestic carriers have raised ticket prices by around 50%, further impacting passenger numbers. The effects are being felt across the industry, including by the country's largest private carrier, Buddha Air, which has reduced its flight frequency by nearly 30%. Airlines warn that sustaining operations has become increasingly difficult, with some preparing to cut staff alongside reducing flights.
31 मार्चसम्म 127 थियो, त्यसपछि हाम्रो एनओसी नेपाल ओइल कर्पोरेसनले फर्स्ट पहिलो ताल 124 रुपैयाँ बढायो, त्यसपछि सेकेन्ड टाइम 6 रुपैयाँ बढायो, अस्ति भर्खरै 5 रुपैयाँ बढेर अहिले 262 पुगेको छ। सबै ठाउँमा प्रभावित भएको छ। त्यसमा जस्तै हाम्रो अहिले ट्रङ्क रूटमा उड्ने जस्तै 13 वटा सेक्टरमा 13 वटा सेक्टर इम्प्याक्ट भएको छ। यहाँ कम यहाँ बढी भन्ने कुरै छैन।
Meanwhile, the national flag carrier Nepal Airlines Corporation says it has not adjusted domestic or international fares, leading to mounting financial losses. Airlines say the sector is unlikely to return to normal unless fuel prices stabilize and the supply improves. They are urging government intervention to ensure reliable fuel supply and price adjustments, warning that without immediate action, Nepal's aviation industry could face deeper challenges.
That's all from the perspective for this week's edition. We will be back next week with major updates. Stay tuned to NTV World.
स्वागत छ लुक्लामा तपाईहरुलाई राम्रोसँग आउनुभयो के प्लेनमा डरहरु लाग्नु भएन प्लेन भित्तैमा ठोकेला जस्तो हुन्छ यहाँ त
At an altitude of 2,860 meters, Lukla is the starting point of arguably one of the best trekking routes in the world, up to the Mount Everest base camp, finishing above 5,400 meters. Ram is one of hundreds of seasonal porters in the route.
अब यो त मान्छेलाई पनि यस्तै हो सजिलो त सर यो किनभने हिलो हुँदैन बेस क्याम्प जाँदा अब क्याम्पको 1000 रुपैयाँ हुन्छ डबल बारी बोकेर अब 2-3 क्याम्प जति हिँडिन्छ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ 5000 जति बस्छ
The route is popular, in fact crowded. This is only for the 2 months of April and May, and so is the profession of Ram a seasonal affair.
अब कुनै खेर पाइन्छ कुनै खेर पाइदैन मान्छे यतिकै हुन्छ त अब कुनै खेर त अब 4-5 दिन यतिकै बसेकै बजारतिर आयो घुम्यो यतिकै फेरि कोठामा फर्केर आयो अब बाकी खाना खादै बस्यो त्यस्तै हो सर विदेश जाउँ त अब लाग्छ जानुलाई पनि फेरि अलिक गाह्रै छ पैसा चाहिन्छ अब पैसा छैन त्यो पेसामा पढाइ चाहिँ पुरुषहरु नै हुन्छ महिलाहरु पनि आधी उधी हुन्छ सर अब बिहानदेखि कहिले अब घाम लागिरहेको हुन्छ एकछिनमा यस्तो बादल आइहाल्छ डुममा भइहाल्छ यहाँको मौसम यस्तै हो सर पढेको भए त बाँकी अब सानोतिनो जबहरु हुन्थ्यो कि
Trekkers pass through nearly 6-7 small hamlets along the Lukla-Namche section of the route.
यहाँ सबै घरमा बिजुली पानीको राम्रो व्यवस्था छ सर
The locals do not have infrastructures or might have resected roads, but they have embraced development.
नाम चाहिँ लुक्ला सबै बाटो भरि नै फोहोर राख्ने बाटो राखिदिनु भएको छ
The topography is inhospitable, but the people are friendly.
यहाँ हरेक गाउँको आफ्नो आफ्नै हाइड्रो बिजुली निकाल्ने पावर छ
Solar panels give much needed warm water to survive the cold. No wonder everything comes at a cost here. Charging a cell phone or getting a Wi-Fi connection.
पहिला सारै दुःख पाइयो मम्मी सानैमा बित्यो अनि पढ्नै पाएन यस्तो दुःख गर्नु परेछ अब छोराछोरीलाई चाहिँ
The year 2014, in course of a conversation, a security analyst asked me, Shivani, don't you feel the world is getting chaotic by the day? Fast forward to 2026, the world today is not just in transition. It is in a state of entrenched volatility. From the shifting tectonic global politics to the digital grip of AI-driven warfare, we are witnessing a global chaos that traditional realism fails to explain. But what if the remedy isn't found in more weaponry or treaties, but in the very science of how we as humans exist? Welcome to Geopod. I'm Shivani Thapa-Bosnet. Joining me today is a person who bridges the gap between the internal vacuum and external clutter. Gurudev L.P. Bhanu Sharma, the founder of Jeevan Vigyan. He is a chartered accountant by education, but a systems architect of the soul by calling. Welcome to the show, Gurudev Sharma. Such a privilege it is to have you with us here at NTV World Studios.
Thank you.
Let's dive in to the very, very fundamental question, Gurudev, as we get set to begin the conversation. A quick pan around and everybody knows that we are the most connected generation of all times in human history, right? But yet we are plagued by profound loneliness, and I'm told that loneliness is going to be the problem of the next century, right? We as institutions, communities, or even nations lobby for peace at different forums. But seldom do we find that in our living rooms. Now, in this very backdrop, the modern human, as we are equipped with all sorts of amenities and comfort, yet the most common question I get to hear is, why am I not happy?
Beautifully put. This age we are connected globally through technology, but inside it's a deep disconnect. And unless you are able to connect with yourself, all the connections that you have in terms of, with the society, with the world at large, it becomes superficial. So this superficiality is there in the very core of modern technological framework. And as you put it correctly, what I see is unless you are able to connect with yourself, you will never be able to communicate with anyone around. Okay? So the deep connection which spirituality brings, which meditation brings, the deep connection is going to be the #1 superpower for the future. You can be lonely even in a crowd of 10,000 people, because that loneliness is inside you. The more you connect with yourself, the connection with the world, the connection with everyone around will be very spontaneous, otherwise it becomes superficial. So this trend of AI, warfare and whatnot has a very, very deep hole in it. And what will address this deeper problem of humanity, this loneliness, this inability to connect, this is the soul connection, and everyone has to be the architect of the soul. Okay? So that heart-to-heart communication, that heart-to-heart engagement has to be the #1 agenda for the future.
Is our Eastern life science merely a set of rituals, or is it a technical manual for our human mind which we have simply stopped reading?
Spirituality cannot be put into rituals, but through rituals you are able to connect. There is a deep misunderstanding among people that spirituality and religion, they are one and the same. They are not. Religion is something that you believe. Spirituality is something you experience. Religion is something that tells you, probably my religion is different from your religion. But if you are a spiritual person, you can never say that your spirituality is different from my spirituality. So that way, These signs, the hidden signs that connects all spiritual traditions is the spiritual, all religious traditions is the spirituality. So spirituality connects, and spirituality is experience based. It is also science based. That's why we call this Jiva Vigyan, the science of living. And rituals have their own place, but spirituality is much more than rituals. What does a ritual do? For example, when you're trying to talk to your mom, what do? You just think about her, or you go and talk to her. When you want to go and talk to her, you need her there physically, right? So when you want to develop that connection with the divine, whoever or whatever in form it may be, if there is something there, it helps you. Okay? So rituals have been a part of all this process, but not the only part. Today, everything that you have, your mobile phone, your gadgets, everything, they are also some type of rituals, You look at your phone early in the morning when you get up, the first thing probably after you drink your water, you reach out to your phone, right? So it has become a ritual. And this way, slowly the culture is emerging. Rituals for us have been very different. And if you see the rituals in this part of the country, is this part of the world, rituals in this part of the world have been there to connect with the nature, because we are the most nature connected country. This is what the Guardian also found out about a couple of months back. But secondly, if you don't want to follow a particular ritual, it's fine. If rituals help you, good, go ahead with the rituals. If rituals, if you think that you are much more than rituals, or rituals do not help you, then you don't need rituals. You need that system and that science to connect with yourself. So whatever you know about yourself, the same thing you're trying to project onto others. And if you know that you are not just a body, you are not just a mind, you are not just the thoughts that are floating in your mind, you are much more than that. You are a spiritual being. This country, Nepal, the Himalayan tradition has taught us how to connect with oneself before connecting with the people around. Has taught us how to talk to oneself before talking to anyone else. Has taught us how to master our own mind before trying to master anything else. So this is going to be the most important contribution to human consciousness. See, tomorrow the most important infrastructure will be that of consciousness, because we already have the technology, right? We already have the platforms, everything, we have all material positions, we have bridges, we have roads, we have buildings, we have computers, supercomputers, okay, the aeroplanes and supersonic aeroplanes and fighters and weapons and whatnot. Now what we need is the right set of mind to be able to use all this in the greater good of humanity. This is one planet, this is one system, and this is one humanity. You do not have two humanities. Spirituality says, yes, all of humanities, okay, they are same. All human beings are same. Okay? And then it also says that if you love yourself, you will be able to love everyone else. This is what is lacking today.
Where did we fail as a society or a nation? Because it wasn't until recently that people started differentiating spirituality from religion, because largely spirituality is so embedded in religion in Nepal, right? In almost all the practices and in all the cultures and communities. So where did we fail?
This is a science-based practice, but we handed this over only as a belief. Because if it is a belief, then you may not believe. My belief is not your belief, right? So we handed this over to our people, and we also took it as a belief system. Now, belief does not bring in anything. This is the major disconnect that we faced maybe over the last 1 century. This is what I see. And we forgot that just mere reading of scriptures, mere reading of textbooks is not a spirituality. Okay? We also forgot that just visiting temples and gumbas and mosques is not a spirituality. No, the deep love, the deep connection you bring in, your awareness, your presence, and your personal experience, they become spirituality. Now, I'm so happy that the new generation does not believe in any beliefs. They may be 2,000 years old, they may be 1,400 years old, they may be 6,000 years old, or they may be 10,000 years old. A belief is a belief, but your experience is your own experience.
Our ancestors lived by, Vasudhaiva Kutumbaka, but meaning the world is one family. That's how they've lived by, and they've passed this on. But today we live by the notion of my fence, my wall, me, myself, right? That the I is so central. How does the philosophy that you're talking, the Jivan Vigyan philosophy, bridge this gap between self and surrounding? Just to streamline, to be more precise, if I am peaceful, does my neighbor actually feel that peace? Or is it just a mere poetic thinking?
There have been a number of researches on this. But there are so many things that science cannot measure. Our ancestors, the rishis, the saints and sages of the Himalayas, the yogis, the gurus, they completely map the human mind and also the soul. So that whole map is available. And luckily, a major part of that is now backed by science, backed by logic, backed by experience, and backed by evidence also. And for example, today science says that when I'm at peace, I spread that aura all around, and at least whatever I am feeling inside, up to at least 8 feet around me, that aura is immediately spread out. But if my experience of peace is so authentic, so clear, that at least 25 miles will be affected by my peace. And if I can experience peace at the level of my soul, probably I will be able to connect with the whole of not only humanity, the whole of earth, not only earth, all creatures, and all, the whole of universe I will be able to connect. This is what science is slowly finding out. The Himalayan tradition says, don't go to the world to get something. Go to the world to give something. This makes the whole foundation, very different. This is a complete change in perspective. So when you say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, you are not saying that this is my family and extort your family, and just bring in whatever you want to know. It says, if this is my family, it is my duty to serve my family. And no doubt, look at the history of Nepal. For a long time, never in history we have exported any weapons. We have never exported terrorism. Okay? We have never exported conflict. In the form of Buddha, we exported peace to the whole world. Right? In the form of meditation, we exported the deep soul connection. In the form of yoga, we exported the whole system of being healthy, not just physically but also mentally. In the form of naturopathy, we have exported wellness, not illness. What Nepal has brought to the human consciousness is profound. And I think it's time that we started looking into it. We started researching into it. Look at the world today, the whole world today, the whole wars, okay? The whole wars and everything that the world is doing today is trying to grab something from someone else. But Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam says, go out to the world at large, but with compassion in your heart.
Gurudev,
and give it to everyone. Yes.
Right. If that is the case, and despite this richness that we've carried, since ages, since ancient times, why has our society become so transactional?
I think the whole problem lies in our education and upbringing. this Eastern philosophy, this culture, this Oriental philosophy does not find a place in education, does not find a place in family, in growth, okay, in how we nurture our kids, in how we nurture our young ones. So we have paid heavy price for this. I think it has become so costly for us. Okay? But a truth is a truth, no matter whether you own it or not. One day or the other, you have to own it. Okay? The whole universe is one. Look at this word universe. Uni means one, right? It's one. Look at the Sanskrit word for universe. It is Brahmanda. Brahma means the whole, the totality. Anda means body, the body of one being, right? The body of one being. Now, even we had forgotten, as rightly pointed out, now it is time for us to educate and re-educate ourselves first, and then slowly take this message to the whole world. But I think we are running out of time. The world needs this message. The world needs this orientation. The whole globe needs this, part of the civilization, okay, human civilization. Now, let's gear up completely for this.
Security isn't just tanks and missiles. As you say, and from what I read from this conversation thus far, it's more mental health and social cohesion. Now, can Eastern philosophy actually strengthen a society's immune system against the external volatility?
The answer is a big yes. Because when you connect with yourself, when you connect with your own nature, and through that, when you start establishing connections all around, you develop not just inner peace, but also you develop that feeling of inner safety. Okay? And when there is inner safety, when there is inner security inside yourself, and that when that becomes, when that connects with the whole society, you start developing that immune system. The whole society develops that immune system. The whole society will think that, yes, I belong here. Why is there so much of threat? Geopolitically, internationally, whatever you call it. Why? Because everyone says that I do not belong here. Or I say that, Shivani, you don't belong here. And you say that, no, Gurudev, you do not belong here. Right? You do not belong to this world. Somehow, whatever you are doing is very different. You do not belong to this world. We want to eliminate each other. And this knowledge, many people think that this is just soft power. No, this is not soft power. This is the most important power. Humanity, a very deep connection, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, wellness. These are the superpowers of the future. If the globe has to survive, if this planet has to survive, if this planet has to thrive, then we have to bring this into whatever we do. So tomorrow, what I see is 20 years down the line, security will not be just based on what weapons I have. Will also be based on how peaceful we are. If I am peaceful, I give out that aura, I give away that aura of peace everywhere. Okay? I feel so self-confident. The whole society will be a very confident society. The whole society will be a structured society. And the whole society will not think of destroying anyone. There will be dialogues for the first time. There will be communication. And what I see is, through the Eastern civilization, okay, through the learnings, through the teachings of the ancient saints, there will be communication, dialogue, and understanding for the first time. Because what do you bring to your meeting rooms? Okay? When you bring that insecurity, when you bring in that threat, when you bring in that challenge into your meeting room, your dialogue is completely devastated. It is destroyed. But when you bring that sense of peace, when you bring that wonderful aura, when you bring that connect, that deep spiritual connect, your sense of peace, your sense of security will be very different. You will not be afraid of anyone, and you will not try to intimidate anyone. The one who is afraid starts intimidating everyone else. The one who feels secure, who is not afraid, who is fearless, will never be interested in bringing in that fear in someone else. So I see a very different society coming up now. Okay? This is where we need to contribute. This is what we need to learn. This is what we need to educate us and educate the whole humanity into now.
Nepal very recently led the UNGA resolution to adopt the International Wellness Day coming April 15. I could see you were one among the central figures putting this forward, right?
I've always been so convinced that Nepal is not a lost nation. It cannot be a failed state. We must have something very deep and something very impactful and powerful to give to the humanity. Look at everything we have. Everything is divine. Everything is pristine. Everything is sacred. Everything is holy. This is what the whole world needs. And this word wellness encompasses everything that we have. The whole tradition, okay? The whole spiritual tradition that has run into tens of thousands of years, the whole spiritual legacy. Last December 2025, the whole world was celebrating International Meditation Day, and we were there in the UN headquarters in New York, USA. We made a presentation representing Nepal. Then we talked to many people there. We talked to the ambassadors, the permanent representatives there. We talked to the diplomats. We talked to scientific communities. And everyone was so curious about what Nepal can bring into the plate now. Because the people told me, see, Nepal, we have heard, has a very, very rich spiritual tradition. And where are you now? What are you going to bring in? Then we came up with the concept of International Wellness Day there. We made a firm resolution in our mind that we will request the government, we will lobby with the government, okay, to go in for the International Wellness Day. And that's where the concept started. Immediately after I came back from US, the very next day, I sent a proposal to the government, to the foreign ministry. And these beautiful people, these intelligent people, they understood the concept, whole concept. And they went ahead, and in less than a couple of months, we had the International Wellness Day. And Nepal is the sole proposer, they not only led the proposal, it is the sole proposer of the International Wellness Day. And 142 countries endorsed this. 40 countries are the co-sponsors, including China and India. Because this belongs to the whole of East now, this belongs to the whole of East. And I'm so happy that after the UN General Assembly adopted this resolution, the new government has come up with very clear policies and plans to execute this. April 15 is going to be celebrated as the International Wellness Day. This is not just another day. This is what human beings, the whole humanity, has been waiting for.
So as you said, certainly it was a milestone, but let us look at the corridors of power where you work, Gurudev. We often hear that power corrupts, but Eastern tradition gives us the Raj Rishi, meaning the leader who rules with the heart of a sage. Is it just a mythological ideal?
There are two types of rulers. The first type of ruler is one who does not have a heart, but knows everything outside, rules the world, rules the country, not based on love, not based on understanding, not based on that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, not based on a deep philosophy. The power is there. Maybe the people voted. The mass power is there. The legal process is there. You may be a very, very good ruler from the outside, but if you do not have that heart, if you do not truly love your country, your people, and the humanity at large, what will you do? Slowly the power, slowly the power starts corrupting you. Unconsciously, the power starts corrupting you, and it corrupts you absolutely. This is what they say, right? Now, but our methodology has been very, very different. Okay, I think we have come up with a wonderful term that has been lost for generations now. Rajarishi. Rajarishi means a king or a leader who is also a rishi or a sage or a saint inside. That very big heart. Okay. Now, if you talk of great people in the politics, maybe also in international relations, okay, you talk of Mahatma Gandhi, talk of Abraham Lincoln, you talk of Nelson Mandela. Okay, when you talk of Gautam Buddha, what are you talking about? They had the power, but they never misused the power. In fact, the power made them more responsible. This is what Rajarsi is, and this is what the Eastern tradition, the Eastern philosophy, I'm not just saying tradition, not just saying philosophy, the Eastern civilization brings into the whole world. And this Rajarsi is going to be the new form of leadership. In fact, if you look at the development of political leadership, now they say that political leadership has to be servant leadership. Okay? Servant leadership is the new buzzword for political leadership. A leader is not a ruler, but a servant of the people. And servant it's not just a literal term, a real servant of the people. And Rajarsi says, you lead through your intelligence, okay, but you take care of your people through your heart. In fact, all the kings that our scriptures talk about, all the kings, the popular kings, they have been Rajarsis. And philosophically, politically, diplomatically, this is what we can bring to the whole international community.
Right. I can see you engaging at various tiers of leadership, engaging with them in training sessions, right? I've seen you at top tiers at all levels. When you just feed my curious mind, when you sit with them, do you see that spark or that capacity in them to become these rishis or the modern day servants that you just said? Do you see a spark of it? Or is it the vivad or the state, like the loud of the state, too loud for them to, hear the vigyan of their own conscience?
You posed a very difficult question to me, Shivani, but I think I must answer this question. After meeting, after talking to a number of people, someday, my heart, starts blossoming, I become so cheerful, so happy. Yes, I got someone here. I got someone who can understand this message, who can execute and carry forward this message. Yes, there are people here. There are people, okay? In different generations, in different age groups, there are people. But the society up till now has been structured in such a way that good people cannot come to the front. Right? So now slowly we have to find out the right people. They are there, and they are there in good numbers. For example, if you want to run a company, you hire the best people, right? You hire the best people. You try to find out who is the best person around. So when you want to run a country, or when you want to run the world, don't you try to find out who is the best person? I've always been a die-hard optimist, okay? But slowly when I started working with these young people also, this new team, I am hopeful, I am optimistic that these people will learn. There are so many things that we need to learn, because for over 2 centuries we have been challenged, we have been threatened, okay, and deep in the psyche, in our collective consciousness, somehow we have developed that inferiority complex, okay, that is there. But meditation and the whole the science of wellness slowly remedies your inferiority complex. It makes you a wonderful human being who can do something very good. And I think if we continue this process, we will be able to develop world-class leaders.
Very needed and an important intervention as well, because they say, you know, state is just a collection of minds, and we really do not want minds that create a cluttered and, you know, laws that are pretty chaotic, right? So we are living in a time of polycrisis. There are crises of climate, then there are political instability, conflicts of all sorts. Let's try and be a little blunt here, because philosophy certainly doesn't stop any war or conflict, right? What is the tangible value here?
Oh yeah. Last time when I spoke in the United Nations, I put forward a statement there. The modern wars are not fought in the borders, they are fought in human minds. Understand that mind is the central thing, okay, and your mind is run by philosophies, not by anything that happens outside. So if you can change your mind, you change everything. It's all about changing the mind. It's all about bringing in a new mind. It's not the question of, you know, a new philosophy can change, working together to change the paradigm. So it's not the question of only philosophy, you know. For example, the way you talk to me, I can see that you are guided by some philosophies. You are making a dialogue here, and you are not in the killing room. Why? Because you have a philosophy there, right? You have an understanding there. Similarly, this new understanding has to be brought in. It's not that it's not there. It's there. Even look at the people, you know. Look at the people who are completely, victimized by war. Look at their faces. Don't you see hope there? I see so much of hope for the humanity. I see so much of hope for the humanity. And the hope that I'm talking about is not just a fantasy. It's not an imagination. This hope can be made real. And if we can, train people in meditation, even 5 minutes of meditation, Shivani, it changes your perspective for good. Even 5 minutes of meditation. Now science tells you very clearly that, all forms of violence come from your stress. A stressed mind becomes a violent mind. Okay? And meditation is the antidote to stress. Okay? When you meditate even for 5 minutes, you have a very different perspective. Instead of destroying, you want to create something. Your destructive energy becomes a creative energy. And remember, don't look at the weapons, don't look at the fighter jets around. Look at the people who are behind them. And if these people can be exposed to this methodology of learning, we can see a better world. And we have to do it. Just take another example. When do you need light the most? You need light the most. Okay, you want light all around when it is dark, right? So when the whole world is into wars, okay, into a number of problems, into polycrisis as you talked about, okay, don't you think someone has to switch on the light? That switch is inside you. I see a great hope for humanity. I see a great hope. We learn through a number of mistakes. Yes, we're making a number of mistakes, but people like us, people like you, who have understood spirituality, who who have tested this Eastern tradition now must work hard. I must own something, And then what I must tell to myself is, if I don't work hard, another person will die tomorrow. Another person will be the victim of another war. Another country will be the victim of another war. So for us, it is an emergency. It's a peace emergency, not a war emergency now. We're spreading peace, we're spreading wellness. It is a peace emergency now.
You need to find the switch, and you need to tame the mind. And meditation could be one tool. I really reap that. But then there is a huge struggle the mankind is having to face or reel under at this moment. So if you could shed light on the how question now, like how does the Eastern concept of samayama, equanimity, right, survive in this era of 24/7, algorithm outreach?
If you look at yourself, it is your mind who is doing all this. Your mind is at the core. And what is samyama? Samyama means equanimity. It's not equality outside. It is equanimity inside. And when do you develop equanimity? You develop equanimity when you become meditative. Right? And then forget these wars. Just look at relationship in your family. The one who has some form of equanimity will be able to connect the whole family. Look at your organization. Who connects the organization? Who builds the organization? People who have equanimity. Look at the nation. Okay? The ups and downs will always be there. The upheavals will always be there. The vicissitudes will always be there. But equanimity, rightly propounded by Shiva, Krishna, Buddha, Ram, okay, and all sages, and that's what we are working into. This is going to be the technology of the future. The leaders have to develop equanimity, and equanimity does not mean that I'm indifferent to whatever is happening. Equanimity means, okay, inside I'm affected, I remain unaffected, so I'll be able to take the right decision. I'm not overwhelmed. I cannot be pressurized. I'm not volatile. Okay? I'm not susceptible to everything that happens outside. I have my own mind. I maintain my freedom. I maintain my intelligence to decide what is right for everyone.
It's a great power.
This is equanimity.
And how do we develop that?
Naturally, you see so many things happening, and slowly you start developing equanimity, right? But the Eastern tradition has brought in spirituality. This whole training of spirituality is all about developing equanimity inside yourself. And Bhagavad Gita says equanimity is the highest form of yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate. There are methods, there are scientific tools to practice. Okay? There are very, very different schools, philosophies to practice this. And I'm so happy that Nepal, although this is a small country in terms of the geography, but it brings in almost all the spiritual tradition in its landscape. It's a large canvas. I'm not saying Nepal alone. The whole Eastern tradition, the whole Eastern philosophy, they are there now. They have to find an inroad into education system. They have to find an inroad into your practice, into your homes, into your offices, into the secretary's offices, into president's buildings. Okay, if you want to develop a better world, we want a better world, right? If you want a better world, we must choose something that's very good. We must choose something that is better than everything else, right? And spirituality comes in handy here. It is there. It is there. We can never close our eyes to spirituality any longer. Mm-hmm. We cannot dare to do so, because you may not have time even to open your eyes after that. Okay? You may be non-existent the another moment if you close your eyes to the simple truths of life. They are there. We are human beings, and humanity is a very, 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 very powerful thing. And spirituality is part of the humanity. And this is what we bring in.
Some would say this philosophy is too soft, for the very hard world of geopolitics, right? What would you say to those skeptics? How would you respond to these skeptics who say we need, more bullets and less breathing exercises?
Even these skeptics, they come to us and tell, and they tell us, I need meditation. I need meditation. See, a restless mind is never a happy mind. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be contented, right? So where you bring in that happiness? Nothing else can bring happiness to you. This is the only science that can bring you happiness. So this is not just the soft power. This is the most important power of the future. And if you ignore this power, if you think that a bullet is the only reply to another bullet, within no time, you will see that everything is over. We have to look at the whole humanity now. We have to go back to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam again. We have to go back to our education again. We have to go back to our roots again. Okay? And this is only what will keep you alive.
Nepal sits between two huge global giants like powerhouses. Now, we've talked this off air as well. How can we, Nepal, like as you portrayed, use this very philosophical heritage as a genuine power tool?
I'm not positioning just Nepal. Okay? Nepal is one of the players, because Nepal is the source of all this. But not the only source, it's one of the sources. What we see is, and what I see is, countries like India, China, and many other, countries who belong to this part of the world, we share a common lineage. Okay, we share a common ancestry in terms of this knowledge. So all of us have to work in cohesion now. All our the different organizations like SAARC, okay, and even larger organizations like BIMSTEC and other organizations have to learn this and have to bring in this one thing. Why did we develop this organization known as SAARC in the beginning? Okay, this is not just an association of a few countries. This has to be the association of a type of philosophy. Okay, this is the philosophy that will give a new lease of life to the whole world. And why are we trying to collaborate? What are we collaborating in? For example, if I want to work together with India, together with China, what would that be? This I see as the number one agenda for the future. Okay, this is for international collaboration. And this is for small geographical collaboration also. This is for international collaboration, and our our diplomats, our government, our diplomats must have this soft power before they start engaging with the diplomats all around, because they need to know what and who we are. Okay, we represent the Eastern philosophy. We represent this culture, we represent this civilization, and this has to be there. This has to get now. This has to get out of its cave, This has to get out of its four walls. And through all diplomatic actions, all political dialogues, even in what I see is, I see this at play in economics also. Because people want to learn this. And people want to learn this. This is number one tourism for us. Okay, this country can be the hub of spirituality and wellness. In fact, about a couple of years back, after we completed our Virat Chakra Vigyan, the Mega Chakra Vigyan in Lumbini, all the political parties, head of government, we sat together and we came up with a 5-point resolution. One of them was to develop Nepal as the spiritual hub. The efforts have already started. Okay, we can see so many things happening all around. Now we must reposition ourselves. Okay, we must brand ourselves. We must come together now. The better forces, the good forces have to come together, not just the evil forces. This is what I see.
Right, and as we move towards concluding this conversation, Gurudev, on a very deeply personal level, beyond, all the books, your practices, the UN resolutions, and even your sessions at the centers, how has practicing Jivan Vigyan or life science shaped your own worldview when you look at this chaos of 2026?
My upbringing, my whole upbringing has been like that of anyone else's. But slowly, I think I was 7 or 8 years of age. I was fallen sick. Okay? I had a fever, and then I was very weak and feeble then. I was trying to stand up, but something happened inside me. Okay? I passed out for some time, but then, people, my family told me that I passed out for some time, but inside something happened, Something surfaced inside. Okay? I could sense that. I had that awareness of whatever was happening inside me. And I immediately found out that no, the whole world that is outside is not the only world. There's a better world that is awaiting to be opened up, that is awaiting to be unveiled. And slowly, I didn't understand what, it was like an epiphany, I didn't understand what that was. But slowly, when I started, reading so many books, I found out that what happened to me was meditation. Okay? And then I started developing practices for myself to begin with, because I wanted to get back there. It happened accidentally. There was no system. But in another maybe about 15 years of time, I had developed methods and systems to go back. And what I found is, this is so simple. And our sages have been practicing this for a long time now, for thousands of years now. Now, why don't I share this with other people? And I started sharing very genuinely, I never wanted to be a teacher of spirituality. Today also, I don't think I'm a teacher of spirituality. I just share, I just share whatever I deeply experience. And then what I found out is, it helps everyone. It's a very simple tool, very simple practice. Okay, you don't need a belief system. You don't need to be a Hindu, or you don't need to convert yourself into a Buddhist. You don't need to change anything. Okay, you don't need to change your religion. You don't need to change your identity, your nationality. Nothing. Okay, even haves and have-nots, they are not the they are not the criteria. It is there in every human being. So once I found, we started sharing. Today we are sharing. Jivan Vigyan established in Nepal. We started our operations from Nepal. We're spread out in over 100 countries now. But we authentically and genuinely share what we experience. Okay? There's the culture of sharing, And I think our tradition has understood, the Eastern tradition has understood the value of sharing.
Thank you, Gurudev. You only inspire me to look forward to another conversation with you, to understand and know your journey, and then the elements of the science that people so value across the world. Thank you so much for coming over and help us unwrap the secrets behind the chaos and maybe the journey towards the much aspired peace. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. To me also, the type of dialogue you brought in terms of what we can do in terms of geopolitics, okay, in terms of the whole planet coming together. I think this interview this has happened for the first time to me. I must thank you for that, and I must thank Geopod and NTV World for having me here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's one strong pillar that NTV World stands on. So thank you one more time. As we head forward towards wrapping up this edition, power, as you could perceive, continues to shape the global order. But perhaps the deeper question is whether wisdom can reshape power. This conversation certainly compels us to contemplate that science of life isn't found in a textbook. It's found in the space between your thoughts, That's it from Geopod this week. I'm Shivani Thapa Bosnia. Let's bring the life back into our science. Namaste.
They say that life is all connected, even the most remote of animals and humans all rose from this earth. But after years of life on land and sea, have we thought about how far these connections sustain? Deep within Sri Lanka lies Uddavallava, nestled nearly 200 kilometers away from the bustling capital city of Colombo. Born out of the need for agriculture, the Uddavallava Reservoir in the 1960s paved the way for elephants to find refuge in the area. The town of Uddavallava is an extraordinary tapestry of society where the vibrant synergy of locals and wildlife flourishes. A town where a national park, agricultural land, an elephant transit home, and a community all exist in their harmony. As the sun rises over the serene Uddavallava National Park, the people who call this place home embrace a livelihood intricately woven with nature's splendor. Resources are shared among the people of Uddavallava and elephants alike. They thrive by building and trading monuments of culture around the world of elephants.
Today in the morning we make the safari, like 4 hours on the jeep, and it was actually really nice. We saw some elephants. We really enjoyed.
Among the cherished traditions in Sri Lanka, passed down through generations, is the awe-inspiring Gajaga Vannama, a mesmerizing dance performance that showcases the elegant spirit of elephants, honoring their grace and power in Sri Lankan heritage. This is the elephant transit home called At Athuru Sevana, a haven that serves as a refuge for orphaned, injured and malnourished elephants. This is where we found the enchanting tale of Namal.
අපේ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ නිලධාරීන්ට හම්බෙලා තියෙන අම්පාර නාමල්ලෝය කියන ප්‍රදේශයේදී වැලක පැටලිලා තුවාල වෙලා ඉන්න පොඩි පැටියෙක් තමයි හම්බෙලා තියෙන කකුලේ ආබාධයෙන් හින්දා උඩවල ඇත්තතුරු සෙවණට ගෙනල්ලා මෙයාව අර කකුලේ තුවාලේ වැඩි වෙන හින්දා මෙයාගේ ජීවිතේ බේර ගන්න තමයි මේ කකුල කපලා අයින් කරලා මෙයාට මේ කෘත්‍රිම කකුලක් හදලා දාලා උඩවල ඇත්තතුරු සෙවණේ බලාගන්න. අවුරුදු 13ක වයස වගේ ටිකක් වෙනස් සතෙක් මෙයා ටිකක් අර සැරයි. ටිකක් සාමාන්‍ය අනිත් අයට වගේ එහෙම කිට්ටු වෙන්න අමාරු. උරු වෙච්ච එක්කෙනෙකුට දෙන්නෙකුට වගේ තමයි මෙයත් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කරන්න පුළුවන්. දොවලව මේ ආශ්‍රිත ප්‍රදේශයට ලොකු සම්පතක්. මොකද මේ වගේ සතෙක් මුළු ලෝකේ කොහෙවත් නැහැ. මොන ජීවිත අවදානම හරි මොන දේ තිබ්බත් අර ගොඩක් මම කැමති මේ සතාව බලා ගන්න. මොකද මේ එහෙම කවුරුත් නැතුව ගියොත් මේ සතා තවත් අසරණ වෙනවනේ.
Like Namal, all these gentle giants receive the loving care and attention they so desperately need at this elephant transit home located close to the national park. While Namal flourishes under the watchful eyes of his caretakers, not too far away from the park, the battle for resources between elephants and humans looms.
වයින් නැති කාලෙට ඒ කියන්නේ පැවුම් කාලේට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම එනවා වැඩි. ඒ වෙනකොට උන්ටක් කන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඉතින් උනුත් මේවට එනවා. කියන්නේ අපි ඉතින් එලවනවා. ඉතින් කරදරයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ දැනුවත් වෙනා. උන්ටත් ඉතින් අපිත් උන් එලවනවා. උන් එනවා. ඉතින් වගාවලට පයින්නවා. දිගටම ඒක තමයි ඉතින් වෙන්නේ. 6 වෙනකොට 6 7 වෙනකොට අනිවාර්යෙන් බහිනෝමයි යලි මේවට. කොට හිටවනවා කෙසෙල් ඔක්කොම ඉතින් කඩා කප්පල් වල දාලා මේ කැලේ වුණාට ඉතින් අපි ගොවිතැනක් කරගන්න මේකට ආයේ ගොවිතැන් බතක් කරගෙන ඉතින් අපි ඉන්නෝට ඉතින් තරහයි ඉතින් මොනව කරන්නද අලියා
In the face of these challenges, the transit home provided a glimmer of hope. The generous support and compassion of humans offered a lifeline to these magnificent beings.
ඇත්තතු සෙවන කියන එකේ තේමාවම ගත්තොත් යලිත් සියනේ ජිබිම් කරා පාන ගන්න කියන තේමාවට තමයි මේක ආරම්භුනේ. විශේෂයෙන් මානව ක්‍රියාකාරකම් සහ විවිධ ස්වභාවික සංසිද්ධීන් අනුව අවතැන් වෙන තුවාල වුණු අතරමං වුණු සත්තු අලිපැටව විශේෂයෙන් පුනරුත්ථාපනය කරන මධ්‍යස්ථානයක්. ඒගොල්ලෝ යම්කිසි කාලයක් මේගොල්ලන්ගේ පෝෂණය, සෞඛ්‍ය විවිධ සමාජීය කටයුතු කරලා මේගොල්ලෝ නිසි වයස එළඹුණාන් පස්සේ මේගොල්ලෝ නැවත ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නිජ බිම් වලට ස්වභාවික පරිසරයට නිදහස් කිරීම තමයි මෙතන වෙන මූලික සංකල්පය.
Current societal changes, the cultural changes and the development changes has resulted in what we hear and the way we see things today in the present. Today the tourists come to see elephants in captive locations like Udawalawe. Now these relationships and these things being successful in Sri Lanka is because of development, and yet there is this feeling of sustainability in nature that Sri Lankan has, and therefore we feel the elephant as still part of our naturalness.
People help these gentle giants by fostering and even donating milk to the little elephants that find their way to this second home, ensuring that they are nurtured before joining the wilderness once again.
This is the first time, so the baby elephants are so cute.
Yes.
So cute, so many. I like elephants because they're very cute, and we don't have elephants at home.
ජීවිතේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට තමයි මේ වගේ අත්දැකීමක් විඳින්න හම්බුනේ. ඒක තහඳ සුන්දර අත්දැකීමක්. මේ වගේ අලි කුඩා අලි පැටව දකින්න ලැබුණේ නම් ප්‍රථම වතාවට මෙහෙම ඒගොල්ලෝ කිරි බනවා, කෑම කනවා දකින්න ලැබිච්ච ඉතින් සුන්දර අත්දැකීමක් විඳින්න හම්බුණා.
The opportunities to see the wild animals and to be with nature and to be in nature is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
උඩවලවේ අලියා ඉන්න නිසා තමයි මේ හැම දෙයක්ම අපට ලැබිලා තියෙන්නේ. විශේෂයෙන්ම අලියා අපි කියනවා කීස්ටෝන් එකක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් එයා යතුරක්. ඒක ජාතික වනෝද්‍යානය තුළ සංරක්ෂිත භූමියේ විතරක් නෙමෙයි අලියා යතුරු පෝරුවක් වෙන්නේ. අලියා සංරක්ෂිත ප්‍රදේශයෙන් පිට පරිබාහිර මේ ගම්මාන වලටත් මේ අලියා යතුරු පෝරුවක් කරනවා. මොකද මේ යතුරු කැරැල්ලේ ප්‍රධාන යතුරු නැති වුණොත් මේ ගම වැටෙන්න පුළුවන්. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඍජු හා වක්‍ර රැකියාවල් 10000කට ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක් මේ වෙද්දි උඩවලව ආශ්‍රිතව උඩවලව ජාතික වනෝද්‍යානය ආශ්‍රිතව සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයට දායක වෙනවා.
And amidst the serene landscapes of the Udawalawa National Park, tourism flourishes. Visitors from around the world are welcomed to witness the grandeur of elephants in their natural habitat, forging a profound and everlasting connection with nature and Sri Lanka. Yet, the true essence of sustainability lies beyond the surface, entwined with the very existence of these gentle giants.
The national park's incredible. So many elephants. We saw the baby orphans this morning as well, which was amazing. Really, really cool. Yeah, just so much to see.
The prosperity of the people relies on the delicate balance created by the coexistence of humans and elephants. As the sun sets over the enchanting landscapes of Uddevalla, the resounding rhythm of the gentle giants prevails.
My first time, and it's like magnificent. These animals are so beautiful. Like crazy. We've seen hundreds of elephants.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard says it has seized 2 vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, describing the move as a response to actions it says disrupted maritime order and safety in the strategic waterway. The development comes as the United States extends a ceasefire deadline with Iran while maintaining a blockade on Iranian ports, linking the extension to ongoing diplomatic negotiations. Iran has criticized the blockade, calling it a violation of the ceasefire and warning it will respond to what it describes as pressure tactics. Meanwhile, hostilities continue elsewhere in the region, with Israeli military operations reported in southern Lebanon and Hezbollah claiming retaliatory action. The situation highlights the fragile nature of the ceasefire as overlapping conflicts and maritime tensions continue to shape security dynamics across the Middle East. Israel's foreign minister has called on Lebanon to cooperate with Israel in addressing the activities of the armed group Hezbollah ahead of renewed talks between the two sides in Washington. The comments come as diplomatic efforts resume following recent cross-border tensions and a temporary ceasefire.
Tomorrow, the direct talks between Israel and Lebanon will resume in Washington, D.C. I call on the government of Lebanon, let's work together against the terror state that Hezbollah built in your territory.
China has said the situation in the Middle East is at a critical juncture, emphasizing the need to prevent a return to conflict. The statement follows the extension of a ceasefire between the United States and Iran. Beijing has called for disputes to be resolved through political and diplomatic means.
当前地区局势处于战和转换的关键阶段，当务之急仍是全力避免战端重启。中方支持相关方继续坚持通过政治外交途径化解争端，实现全面持久停火止战，维护好中东和海湾地区和平稳定。中方愿根据习近平主席4点主张精神，同国际社会一道，为此发挥积极建设性作用。
A mass funeral has been held in southern Lebanon for fighters from Hezbollah who were killed during recent hostilities with Israel. The mass funeral took place in the town of Far Sur, drawing large crowds of mourners. The ceremony follows a temporary ceasefire aimed at halting weeks of cross-border conflict. Casualty figures from the fighting remain disputed, with both sides reporting significant losses. The situation highlights the human impact of the conflict and the fragile nature of ceasefire agreements in the region. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, has said he would act as an impartial mediator if selected as the next United Nations Secretary General.
I think these are moments, or the moments that we are living, the moments that we are going to be living, Javier Pérez de Cuéllar, of course, the Latin American, where we will have to have a Secretary General, neither a Secretary nor a General, a Secretary General that will combine these two things hopefully, in a constructive way, to be an impartial broker. This is what we need.
Grassi is among several candidates being considered for the role, which will become vacant in 2027. The selection process comes at a time of global conflict and institutional challenges for the UN. The leadership transition is seen as significant for shaping the UN's response to ongoing international crisis. Amnesty International has said that Venezuela's state security structures remain in place despite recent political changes. The organization expressed concern about continued control mechanisms within the country. It also pointed to recent government appointments as indicators of ongoing consolidation of authority.
Nuestra lectura sobre Venezuela es que el aparato represivo sigue totalmente vigente. No ha habido ningún mecanismo, ninguna política adoptada por el gobierno de Delcy Rodríguez en torno al desmantelamiento real de la política represiva. Más bien,
The remarks come amid international scrutiny of Venezuela's political transition. The situation reflects broader concerns about governance and human rights in the region. Colombia's president has announced the suspension of peace talks with a major guerrilla group, citing concerns over alleged violations of agreements. The decision marks a setback for efforts to end one of the longest-running armed conflicts in the region. The government had been pursuing negotiations as part of a broader peace policy. However, accusations of continued violence and illegal activities have raised doubts about the process. The move highlights ongoing challenges in achieving lasting peace in Colombia. The Kedarnath temple in northern India has reopened to devotees, marking the start of the annual pilgrimage season in the Himalayan region. Authorities have implemented crowd management and safety measures to accommodate large numbers of visitors. The temple is part of the Char Dham Yatra, one of Hinduism's most significant pilgrimage circuits. The reopening follows similar ceremonies at other key shrines, signaling the beginning of a major religious travel period. The pilgrimage season plays a vital role in regional tourism and reflects enduring religious traditions across India. The United States Justice Department has announced criminal charges against a prominent civil rights organization alleging financial misconduct. Prosecutors claim the group misused donor funds in connection with payments to informants linked to extremist groups. The organization has denied wrongdoing and says it will defend itself against the allegations. The case comes amid broader political debate over the role of federal investigations. It reflects ongoing tensions in the United States over governance, accountability, and civil society organizations. Bite. Members of a national canoe team are continuing intensive training as they prepare for the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Athletes are participating in daily sessions under the guidance of coaching staff at a training camp in Turkey. The program includes both men's and women's competitors working to improve performance and endurance. Preparations are part of long-term efforts to build competitive strength ahead of the global sporting event. Training initiatives like these reflect the increasing focus on early preparation in international Olympic sports.
Only after 6 decades of the institutional development of the now popular game of cricket did Nepal get the opportunity to play in the World Cup. Although cricket was introduced in Nepal during the Rana regime, the sport was confined to a limited number of people, namely the elite. It all started with equipment brought by students returning from their studies in Britain and India. Although Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) was established in 1947, cricket remained centered among a few affluent individuals and in limited tournaments for a long time. Starting with the Bishnu Trophy in 1948, tournaments were limited to competitions like the Madan Memorial Sealed, Jugal Kishore Trophy, Rammani Trophy, and later the Jaya Trophy. Even as the sport expanded outside Kathmandu Valley, it took decades for cricket to develop at the grassroots level. After the International Cricket Council (ICC) granted Nepal affiliate membership in 1988, Nepali cricket embarked on its international journey. The rule of mandatory participation in tournaments by the ICC and the Asian Cricket Council (ACC) opened doors to international competition for Nepal. After participating in the Under-19 Asian tournament in Hong Kong in 1996, Nepal has not looked back. Winning titles at the Asian and global levels, Nepali cricket team continues its journey towards the pinnacle of world cricket.
Goes down the ground because he was given that line outside off stump. So the first boundary of the contest, a handsome one.
Initially confined to Tunikhel in Kathmandu, many international tournaments were hosted in Nepal after an international standard ground was built in Kirtipur. Nepal has also shown its proactiveness in differently abled cricket tournaments like the T20 World Cup for the blind in 2012 and the Asian Cricket Tournament for the deaf. Nepali women's national cricket team has also achieved remarkable success in a short period of time. The latest addition in Nepali cricket is the floodlit Tribhuvan University Cricket Stadium and the Nepal Premier League that has provided opportunity for Nepali players to rub shoulders with world-class players.
The number of devotees collectively chanting, admiring and understanding these holy chants has reached 2 billion all across the world now. This implies that the population following Buddhism is increasing by the day. Buddhism rests upon the principle that one must be empathetic, kind, and exonerate towards all living beings. Love, brotherhood, and mutual harmony is the only way towards peace at present, when the whole world is entangled within warfare, fighting, and conflicts. Anyone seeking for peace can find it within themselves on internalizing the words and messages of Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha, also known as the Light of Asia, established himself as the preacher of Buddhism and enlightened the whole world with his message of peace, awareness, kindness, and wisdom. Buddha sacrificed his whole life urging for the need of truth, justice, and altruistic feeling within mankind. Gautama Buddha was born in Lumbini. It lies in the western part of Nepal in Rupandehi districts of the Lumbini zone. Lumbini has been protected under the World Cultural Heritage Site since 1997 AD. In the year 1896, the then senior officer of Palpa, Kharga Shamsher, and German expert Dr. A. Fuharer jointly carried out the work of archaeological excavation and investigation of Lumbini. After some period, archaeologists located the commemorative Ashok pillar erected by King Ashok of India during ancient period. With such facts coming in front, Lumbini caught attention of the people all around the world. Among the most significant heritages of Lumbini are Ashok Pillar and Mayadevi Temple. It is believed that Mayadevi gave birth to Siddhartha Gautam in 623 BC at the very spot where the temple is located at present. The then Mayadevi temple, however, remains only in the pictures and in imaginations. Renovation and repair works have already changed the original structure of the temple. Nevertheless, with the new structure, this temple has embraced a divine outlook in it. Not only the temple, but the whole Lumbini region is in the process of plan reconstruction and development. The visit of the then General Secretary of the United Nations Organization, U Thant, in the year 1967 brought together the notion of Lumbini Area Development Project. Under a master plan of the Japanese archaeologist Professor Kenzo Tange, the project was initiated in the year 1978. Lumbini Area Development Project Master Plan spreads in the area of 3 miles. Major attraction of this project is the Mayadevi temple premises. This holy garden has emerged as a peaceful, religious and spiritual hub as well as the center for tourists. This garden, located in the southern part of the temple, has assimilated a number of objects of archaeological and historical importance. The whole area appears magnificent, with a calm lake and beautiful parks. The temple displays numerous artifacts built in different centuries. These works shed light upon the historical importance of the temple. It is assumed that works of repair and renovation were carried out time and again since the reign of the Maurya dynasty till 8th century BC. The outer wall of the temple spreads 26 meters in the east-west and 21 meters in the north-south direction. During its excavation, 5 rooms in the east-west and 3 rooms in north-south direction were discovered. 3 of these rooms are square and the remaining 5 are rectangular in shape. There is an ancient Mayadevi idol showing the birth of Lord Buddha inside the temple. This idol is also known as the birth idol. The remains inside the temple date back from 5th century BC to the 7th century BC. Marker stone, alias birth stone, is placed safe above a Maurya period brick inside a deep room. This clearly depicts the exact place where Lord Buddha was delivered. This stone is around 25 steps north of the Holy Lake. Other evidential objects uncovered from excavations are kept as it is for devotees and other tourists to explore and to study. Ashoka pillar near to Mayadevi temple is believed to have been erected by King Ashoka in 249 BC during the 21st year of his enthronement. The Utkirna stone inscription engraved in this pillar in Brahmi script is a historical proof that Lord Gautama Buddha was born here. This is the most reliable historical and archaeological archive to learn about the birthplace of Lord Buddha as well as to explore Lumbini itself. A 5-stanza writing of 90 words written in Brahmi script, the first script that Buddha learned, is engraved in this pillar. Archaeologist Dr. A. Fuhara verified the writing in 1896 AD. This script attests huge and significant information about Lumbini. In the northern side of the Ashoka pillar lies Puskarini, or the holy pond. Legends say Mayadevi took the holy dip prior to the birth of Lord Buddha in this pond, and that baby Buddha too had his first bath. Architectural fragments of different size and shape collected from various excavations are protected in the southeast, northeast and western direction of the Mayadevi temple. On close examination of the temple, the tradition and technology of Maurya dynasty is revealed. Some monasteries are constructed using the remains of Lord Buddha, while some other incorporates the remains of his followers, and few others have been constructed in Buddha's reminiscence. These monasteries depict the then art, custom, religion and tradition. In the northern side of the Holy Garden, towards the center, lies the eternal peace flame, the peace bell and a 3-kilometer long and 16-meter wide canal. One can also view the World Peace Pagoda from here. The canal divides the whole area into 2 sections. Towards the eastern monasteries, 13 plots are designated to Thur Buddhist and 29 plots are allocated to Mahayani Buddhist in the western monasteries. In eastern region, various countries and third Buddhist organizations have constructed a number of monasteries following their native architectural texture. Myanmar, Sri Lankan, Indian, Cambodian and Thai government, including Nepalese, have constructed stupas and guest houses in these areas following the agreement with Lumbini Development Trust. Similarly, most of the western plots have been occupied with similar stupas, monasteries, guest houses and meditation centers constructed by various organizations or Government of Nepal, China, Vietnam, France, Japan, Austria, Bhutan and Mongolia, among other nations. In these monasteries, Buddhists perform their regular worship, enchantments and meditations according to their own customs. In the northern side of the new Lumbini village area is the 41.5 meter long and 49 meter cylindrical World Peace Pagoda. Fujiguru of Japan is said to have constructed similar pagodas in different locations all over the world during his journey of finding peace. World Peace Pagoda was designed by Japanese architect Dr. Minoru Ohuka. This pagoda came into operation since 1995. Built in traditional Japanese design, the upper part of this pagoda holds metallic artifacts exhibiting the birth of Lord Buddha. Lumbini Museum and Lumbini International Research Center are other important places to visit once one reaches Lumbini. These buildings, constructed in pagoda style, portray an architectural masterpiece in themselves. Inside Lumbini Museum, the archaeological remains found during the excavation of Lumbini area are preserved inside a large hall. One can easily gather information about the birthplace of Lord Buddha and the then contemporary society and culture exploring these heritages. Within the building, designed by Professor Kenzi Tange himself, Lumbini International Research Center has been established. More than 3,500 research materials and texts on Buddha, Buddhism, history, philosophy, knowledge and teachings of Buddha can be found here. For the visitors' comfort, the center has provided the facility to read texts on different languages, including Sanskrit, Chinese, Japanese, Turkmen, Burmese, Thai, Nepali, and Nepal languages. This palace is located around 27 kilometers far from Lumbini. Lord Buddha, as the prince, spent 29 years of his life in this palace. Prince Siddhartha Gautama abandoned the royal livelihood in search of Mahanirvana, or enlightenment. In the year 1898 AD, Indian archaeologist P.C. Mukherjee, following the description of Chinese traveler Hu Yan Sanga, and unveiled the unknown facts about Tilaurakot after his 4 months-long research and excavation works. He mentioned that the Tilaurakot Palace stretched in the area of 1,700 feet north-south and 1,300 feet east-west direction, was surrounded by walls up to 8 to 12 feet. The main entrance gate had Buddha stupas and monasteries in both the sides. All these buildings are under excavation and protection at present. Mukherjee has also maintained that King Suddhodana ruled his kingdom from the same palace. Hence, no doubt remains on the fact that the present Tilaurakot was ancient Kapilvastu. Archaeological debris as well as ancient palace and east-west entrance constructed since 4th century BC to 2nd century BC can be observed vividly now as well. Another historical site of Lumbini is Kudan, also known as Lauri Kudan, around 28 kilometers southwest of Lumbini. Myths have it that Lord Gautama Buddha met his father King Suddhodana at this very spot for the first time on returning to his hometown Kapilvastu after attaining enlightenment. Others say Prajapati Gautami Gautam Buddha's foster mother handed him Kayas Vastra at this place. Some others also claim that at this very site, Gautama Buddha's son Rahul transformed into Buddhism and turned a saint. Inscription held the existence of 4 walls and 1 buried well at this place. However, only 3 walls can be seen at present. According to Dewala Mitra, on the southern side of this lies one rectangular wall, and another wall has a snake temple on the top of it. In the largest wall, located at northeast direction, idol of Lord Shiva and the remains of other idols can be seen at the top. "500 meters north of King Suddhodana's palace lay 2 stupas. Experts say these stupas are the graves of King Suddhodana and his queen Maya Devi. The largest stupa has the area of 52 feet and is 75 feet high, whereas the smaller one has the area of 26 feet. The largest stupa is said to be constructed in the 4th century BC and was reconstructed 3 times during the 2nd and the 1st century BC. Similarly, the smaller stupa is believed to have been constructed in between the 2nd and the 1st century BC. Devadaha, that lies in Bhawanipur of Rupandehi, is said to be the maternal home of Siddhartha Gautama. Inscriptions say that Siddhartha Gautam spent 7 years of his childhood in Devadaha. Also, it is believed that he, upon attaining enlightenment, paid a visit to Devadaha. Devadaha is also popularly regarded as the maternal home of Queen Maya Devi, Queen Prajapati, and Princess Yasodhara. 10 idols are established in a single row in the eastern wall. However, the structure of all other idols besides one of the sun god in the center is unclear. This place, serving as an open museum, still needs a rigorous research and study to explore more about Kolya Kingdom. Ram Gram Monastery has been constructed in the sidelines of Jharahi River towards 4 kilometers southeast of Parasi of Nawalparasi district. 7 meters in height, this monastery was constructed, establishing 1 metallic remains of Lord Buddha in its base. This monastery is one among the 8 monasteries constructed worldwide with the metallic remains in their base. This monastery was constructed upon the order of the king of Ramgram. He was the 8th king to receive the remains of Lord Buddha. Buddhist religious texts say that King Ashoka was in his mission of collecting remains of Lord Buddha from all 8 monasteries to construct the 84,000 stupas. But he was not allowed to extort the remains of Lord Buddha from Ramgram Monastery. Around 9 kilometers north from Tilaurakot lies a pond named Sagarwa or Lambu Sagar. The pond has high significance with regard to its archaeological value. This pond is popularly recognized as the spot where Koshal rural king Naresh Birudhak killed the thousands of Shakyas at the same time during the 5th century BC. Inscriptions have it that this pond extends 1,059 feet towards the length and 225 feet towards the breadth and was discovered in 1895 AD. However, only few remains and a mark of the pond can be traced here at present. Gotihawa is renowned as the birthplace of Manushi Krakuchandra Buddha. It is also said that Krakuchandra Buddha met his father at the very place after attaining nirvana. Debris of Ashoka pillar ancient well, bricks and other remains can be retrieved in the buried form from here. Major Wada and P.C. Mukherjee excavated Gotihawa in 1895 AD and mentioned that Krakuchanda Buddha was born here. Aurora Court is an ancient town situated 8 kilometers northeast of Taulihawa. Aurora Court is regarded as the location of Kanak Muni Buddha, but scientific research is necessary to trace further facts of this town. Meanwhile, manuscripts have it that Niglihawa, 7 kilometers far in the northern side of Taulihawa, is the birthplace of Kanak Muni Buddha. It is the same place where he got enlightenment. They also say that archaeologist Dr. Fuhara discovered inscriptions in ancient stupas at this very place. In the western side of Nigli Sagar, one of the Ashoka pillars can be seen in 2 pieces. In an inscription written in Brahmi script, Pali language, it is mentioned that King Ashoka erected this pillar when he reached Kapilvastu. When he reached Kapilvastu Lumbini during the 3rd century BC. King Ashoka was said to be in pilgrimage. These pillars, 15 feet long, have engraved figure of peacock in one of the pillar and another has Om Mani Padme Hum carved in it. This holy land of Buddha has a large number of places and objects of historical and archaeological importance. Many are still under the grave of Mother Earth, left to be extracted and excavated. After watching this documentary about Holy Land of Lord Buddha, you need not reach far to realize peace. Reaching this sacred birthplace of Lord Buddha will be enough to experience eternal peace. This holy land is the source of world peace. Lumbini is the center of serenity and harmony among all the people in the world. World Cultural Heritage Site and Shakya sage Gautama Buddha's birthplace is a precious gift for the whole world.
The people and wildlife of the Everest region are facing profound challenges due to the melting glaciers, erratic weather patterns, altered rainfall cycles, and escalating temperatures. Shrinking glaciers are the growing expanse of glacial lakes in the Himalayas, heightening the threat of sudden and catastrophic disasters. According to a study conducted by Geopod and UNDP, out of 1,466 glacial lakes in the country, 21 have been identified as potentially dangerous, of which 6 have been placed in the high-risk category, such as Lake Imza in Solukhumbu district. Rapid glacial melting, glacial lake outbursts, and unusual flooding are rare phenomena in the Everest region. A team of science journalists from Nepal, India, Bhutan, and Bangladesh undertook a 12-day journey from Kathmandu to Everest Base Camp to report on the impact of climate change on the base camp and its surroundings. It is a unique and once-in-a-lifetime experience for the journalists. Flights in the mountainous regions are naturally difficult and can be intimidating. Even so, the participants of Himalayan Climate Bootcamp 2024 are excited to experience this unique once-in-a-lifetime journey.
We are excited.
Yes.
Yes.
Very excited. Now excited.
The plane finally touched down at Tenzing Hillary Airport in Lukla, situated at an altitude of 2,846 meters and widely regarded as the world's most dangerous airport. Upon arrival, the picturesque Himalayan market, Lukla, eagerly greeted us. Located in Khumbu Pasanglamu rural municipality, Lukla served as a key starting point for the Everest Base Camp trek. The Sherpa community, prominent in the Everest region, includes individuals who hold world record in Everest climbing. The goal of the Boot Camp 2024 was to produce a report on the impact of climate change, covering a journey from Lukla to Everest Base Camp, located at an altitude of 5,364 meters. A group of 19 comprising science journalists, mentors, and 6 Sherpas assistants have begun the trek along the trail. As a group, people pass through Himalayan villages. They engage with locals, government officials, Nepal Army, guides, porters, and tourists, gathering fresh insight about the Everest region.
It was a really good experience. It was really cold, but not that hard.
On the first day of the boot camp, we overcame every obstacle to reach Monjo at 2,835 meters in the Dudkosi Valley. We passed through Phakding, which is at 2,610 meters. After walking for more than 6 hours from Lukla, the team members were exhausted. Each evening, program directors, mentors, and participant journalists would sit together to casually discuss the day's experience and plan the schedule for the next day. Data collection and interviews were carefully organized during these meetings. Informal conversation and interactions with locals played a key role in the bootcamp.
We are going to interact with stakeholders. That means you may know about the environmental issues, garbage, and other things. So, Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee, SPCC, that is the key stakeholder in the region.
To mark World Press Freedom Day on May 3rd, an interactive program was held at Sagarmatha National Park, focusing on the importance of press freedom for science journalists. The event brought together local Sherpa business people, environment activists, government officials, representatives from Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee, the park warden, political leaders, and checking guides, among others.
7,000 को हाराहारीमा छ population 7,000 population 7,500 त्यस्तै हाराहारीमा छ गाउँ चाहिँ कतिवटा छ ठ्याक्कै 10 मा मोटामोटी त्यही 12-15 वटा गाउँहरु छन्
तो आपके इसमें भी ऐसे बफर जोन रहता है
buffer
कोर
zone,
एरिया रहता है
yeah.
कोर में अलाउड नहीं है पर बफर में रह सकते हैं
no there is the village inside the core also as well as in the buffer also.
Okay.
This modality is totally different from the modality of Tarai and the national park which you said that is
right India.
The discussion centered on the press freedom and the impact of climate change on the livelihoods of the people in the Himalayan region. The next morning after breakfast, we visited Kancha Sherpa, member of Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa's Everest expedition team.
Group ko leader नाम के John
यहाँ छेउमै रुख छ रुख काटेर 10 वटा रुख भयो बेस क्याम्प गयो बेस क्याम्प पुगेपछि अनि आइसफलमा त्यो रुखको साङ्गो थापेर अनि हामी क्याम्प 1 बनायो अनि त्यही क्याम्प 1 बनाएपछि त त्यहाँबाट त अनि सबै सजिलो छ अनि त्यसो गरेर क्याम्प 2 मा सबै सी लेभल छ क्याम्प 3 मा पनि दुःख छैन अनि क्याम्प 4 मा चाहिँ अनि साउथ कोन हो अनि हामी त्यसो गरेर अनि एभरेस्ट चढेको हामी चाहिँ गएन अनि हेरेर टेन्सन चाहिँ हामीले साउथ समिटमा पुर्यायो अक्सरहरू भयो र पालाहरू भयो र माथि साउथ समिटमा पुर्याएर हामी चाहिँ साउथ खोलमा सुत्न आयो.
Afterwards, we headed to the picturesque Himalayan villages of Kumzung, situated at 3,800 meters. The development of Kumzung began after the historic 1953 Everest climb by Hillary and Norgay. With the establishment of Kunde Hospital and Kumzung School by Hillary, there was significant improvements in health, education, and the overall livelihood of the local community. The team walked along steep trails, greeted by blooming rhododendrons, and reached Tengbote at 3,867 meters on the 4th day, where they spent the night. On the 5th day, they continued their journey, noticing changes in the Himalayas as the snow-covered peaks were now turning black. On the way to Dingboche at 4,410 meters, snowfall greeted them. To acclimatize to the altitude, the team stayed in Dingboche on the 6th day. On the 7th day, they moved on to Lobuche, crossing the steep Thukpa Pass. In the evening, they reached the Pyramid International Laboratory and Observatory in Lobuche at 5,060 meters, the world's highest altitude laboratory. During this, they also had an insightful interaction session with an international glaciologist, learning about the changes at Everest Base Camp.
Here in the region, with the French, we measure the Mera Glacier up until the peak. So we have stakes, we make a hole in the ice, we put a stake, and then next year we come and we measure how much that stake has emerged. And that's how much the surface of the glacier has lowered, and that corresponds to what the glacier has lost that year. And at the same time, we go to the upper part and we measure accumulation. So an interesting thing is that in the last 2 years, there has not been accumulation at the top of Mera Peak. That is 6,400 meters up and there's no accumulation. And that means that the glaciers are not getting fed up, they are just losing ice.
On the 8th day, the team arrived at Everest Base Camp. at 5,364 meters and held an interaction with government officials.
I think this is a good initiation in the field of journalism science. Even without investing much more dollar money, nobody can come here.
The discussion focused on the relocating the base camp, waste management and the melting glaciers.
Finally, we made it to the base camp. This base camp is an altitude of 5,364 meters and is the part of the Himalayan climate boot camp. And we have 13 journalists from different countries, especially from the SAARC region. From Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal, and is the historic event, and is the first event that journalists have came from the sea level to the highest level to conduct a boot camp. And we have a very lifetime experience, and we observed different issues like glacier melting, status of base camp, Everest base camp, and we met different stakeholders like climbers, government officials, and we have the concluding ceremony in the base camp, and we have government officials, Mr. Himlal Gautam.
On the 9th morning, the team headed back to Pangboche. On the 10th day, they arrived in Monjo. Upon returning to Lukla, they engaged in the conversation with climbers, local teachers, female guides, and porters. The evening was filled with entertainment, including a dance performance. Finally, on the 12th day, the team returned to Kathmandu. A sharing session was held on the 13th day. The boot camp was a success, with participants sharing dozens of stories.
Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers as it offers both adventure along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Thorangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Thampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience,
then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna Range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons.
Nepal's Home Minister resigns amid conflict of interest concerns, aims to ensure impartial investigation. Nepal's President calls Federal Parliament session, a joint sitting scheduled for April 30 in Singhadarwar. Heat wave alert in western Nepal as temperatures near 40 degrees Celsius in Tarai. Met Department warns of heat wave condition for the next 3 days. Kathmandu's uneven parking policy sparks debate over fairness and consistency. Dharahara's free parking initiative draws scrutiny. Iran seizes 2 vessels in Strait of Hormuz. Maritime tensions escalate as Iran retaliates against port blockade. And Nepal clinches thrilling 2-wicket victory over Rwanda. Samchana Khadka shines as Nepal chases down target in ICC T20 Challenge Trophy. Good evening, I am Sarah Sapsanama Rai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Nepal's Home Minister Sudhan Gurung has resigned, saying the move is aimed at ensuring an impartial investigation into allegations linked to his financial interests. In a statement posted on social media, Gurung said he stepped down with immediate effect to avoid any conflict of interest and to prevent influencing the inquiry. He said recent public scrutiny over his shares and related matters had been taken seriously, describing his resignation as part of his moral responsibility. Gurung, who was appointed on March 27, also urged the public and media to uphold truth, honesty and righteousness as the process continues. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Balendra Shah has assumed responsibility for the Home Ministry following Gurung's resignation. Prime Minister's press advisor Deepa Dahal said the Premier will oversee the portfolio for now after the post was left vacant. Nepal's President Ramchandra Paudel has summoned a joint session of the Federal Parliament for Thursday, April 30 at 2 p.m. at the Federal Parliament building in Singhadarwar. The President's call comes following the recommendation of the government. The session has been called under Article 93 of Nepal's Constitution. Nepal's Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has warned of a heat wave affecting Lumbini and Sudar Pasim provinces for the next 3 days, with temperatures expected to reach up to 40 degrees Celsius in parts of the Tarai. The department says the hot weather condition, locally known as Lu, is likely to persist until Friday. It has urged the public to take precautions as most parts of the country also are experiencing rising temperatures. According to officials, several districts in the southern plains, including Dang, Kapilvastu, Rupandehi, Bara and Parsa, are already witnessing high temperatures, disrupting daily life and increasing discomfort due to intense heat and strong sunshine. Forecasts show temperatures in Lumbini and Sudur Pashchim could remain between 38 degrees Celsius and 40 or higher over the coming days. Madhesh, Bagmati, Gandaki and valley regions are also likely to experience unusually hot conditions. Authorities have issued an orange alert indicating affected areas and have urged people to stay updated with official advisories. Kathmandu's municipal authorities are currently navigating a wave of public disapproval regarding the city's fragmented approach to parking management. At the heart of the controversy is the striking disparity between the complimentary parking provided at Dharahara landmark and the steadily climbing tariffs imposed across other high-traffic districts. While city officials point to the Dharahara initiative as a successful tool for thinning out central gridlock, critics argue that this piecemeal has lacked a cohesive vision. This has in fact shifted the conversation toward larger systemic issues such as equitable distribution of municipal resources, the potential for private exploitation of public land, and the urgent necessity for a centralized, transparent parking framework that applies to all residents equally. We'll look at this in detail in our cover story later in the bulletin. Iran's Revolutionary Guard has said it has seized 2 vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, describing the move as a response to actions it says disrupted maritime order and safety in the strategic waterway. The development comes as the United States extends a ceasefire deadline with Iran while maintaining a blockade on Iranian ports, linking the extension to ongoing diplomatic negotiations. Iran has criticized the blockade, calling it a violation of the ceasefire and warning it will respond to what it describes as pressure tactics. Meanwhile, hostilities continue elsewhere in the region, with Israeli military operations reported in southern Lebanon and Hezbollah claiming retaliatory action. The situation highlights the fragile nature of the ceasefire as overlapping conflicts and maritime tensions continue to shape security dynamics across the Middle East. Nepal defeated Rwanda by 2 wickets in the ICC Women's T20 Challenge Trophy. In the match played today at Gahanga Cricket Oval in Kigali, Nepal achieved the victory target of 89 runs set by the hosts in 19.4 overs, losing 8 wickets. Samjana Khadka top scored with 48 for Nepal, while Pooja Mahato added 13 and Bindu Rawal 10 runs. Earlier, Rwanda, who won the toss and elected to bat first, scored 88 runs in 19.4 overs, all out. For the bowling side, Rachana Chaudhary took 3 wickets, while Pooja Mahato and Kavita Kuwar claimed 2 wickets each. The tournament, hosted by the International Cricket Council, is being held on a double round-robin league system. Italy, the USA and Vanuatu are other teams participating in the contest. 1 month, 2 exits. It's a government on the edge. With the administration barely in its infancy, the sudden resignation of Home Minister Sudhan Gurung and the dismissal of Labour Minister Deepak Kumar Shah have sent shockwaves through the capital. Is this a sign of a rigorous cleanup or a symptom of a deeper crisis in leadership? We dive into what's shaking the foundations of the new government in our cover story after this break. watching NTV World and this is News Hour. Welcome back. Less than a month into the new government, 2 ministers have taken an exit. Home Minister Sudhan Gurung resigned amid controversy over his financial dealings, while Labour Minister Deepak Kumar Shah was dismissed just 2 weeks into office. The back-to-back departures have intensified scrutiny over governance, accountability and ethical standards within the administration. April Singh Lama reports.
Less than a month after the formation of the new government, 2 ministers have exited their positions, placing issues of governance, ethics and public accountability firmly in focus. Home Minister Sudhan Gurung resigned on Wednesday, citing moral responsibility amid growing controversy over his past financial conducts, including share investments. His resignation follows the earlier dismissal of Labour, Employment and Social Security Minister Deepak Kumar Shah, who was removed from office just 14 days after assuming his role. Gurung announced his decision through a social media post, stating that he stepped down to allow an impartial investigation into allegations surrounding a potential conflict of interest. The controversy centers on his reported investment in Star Micro Insurance Company, which is also linked to tainted business person Deepak Bhatta, who faces money laundering accusations. Prior to stepping down, Gurung met Prime Minister Balendra Shah. Earlier, Labour Minister Shah was dismissed following controversy over statements beyond his jurisdiction and allegations related to appointing his wife to the Health Insurance Board. These developments have also prompted caution within the ruling party, especially other ministers including Health Minister Nisha Mehta, signaling a stricter stance on accountability. The departure of ministers within weeks of the government's formation has drawn increased attention from both the public and political stakeholders. Opposition parties had urged Gurung to step down and called for an independent investigation, reflecting broader concerns around transparency and the need to uphold legal and ethical standards. These incidents highlight the government's stated commitment to good governance, where ministers are expected to uphold responsibility and step aside when questions arise. At the same time, they raise broader questions about whether allegations are being thoroughly and fairly investigated and whether those involved are given adequate opportunity to respond. The swift developments are being interpreted by some as an indication of an evolving political culture, where resignation is increasingly viewed as an acknowledgement of moral duty. However, sustaining public trust will depend not only on such actions, but also on the credibility and transparency of the investigative and accountability processes that follow.
That wraps up our cover story of the day. Now, free in Dharahara, but expensive on the streets. Kathmandu's uneven parking policy is sparking a city-wide debate on fairness and public space. We break down the winners and losers of the new system next in our issue of the day. Kathmandu is facing growing scrutiny over its uneven parking policy, with free parking at Dharahara complex contrasting sharply with rising fees in other parts of the city. While the initiative has eased congestion in central areas, it has also raised questions about fairness, the misuse of public space and the absence of a uniform urban parking system. Sabika Shrestha takes a closer look.
Free parking at Kathmandu's Dharahara is drawing mixed reactions as the stricter and costlier parking rules continue across the rest of the city. The Kathmandu metropolitan city has made its multi-level underground parking facility at Dharahara free for public use, aiming to reduce congestion in busy areas like New Road and Sundhara. The move has provided relief to commuters but raised concerns over unequal access and misuse of public space. The facility, which can accommodate around 2,000 vehicles, is now operating at near full capacity with CCTV surveillance and security measures in place. Officials say the move is part of a broader effort to manage traffic and discourage roadside parking.
काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकामा अब धेरै यातायात चल्ने भएको कारणले गर्दा के स्वाभाविक रूपमा पार्किङको व्यवस्था पनि काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाले गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ र अहिलेलाई हामीले काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाको सबैभन्दा बढी सुनधाराको धरहराको तल ग्राउन्ड फ्लोरमा चाहिँ पार्किङ भइरहेको अवस्था छ, त्यो निःशुल्क नै छ। त्यसको साथसाथै अहिले चाहिँ यो बस पार्क चाहिँ जुन चाहिँ भ्यू टावर बनाउनु खोजेको छ त्यहाँ त पनि पार्किङको व्यवस्था छ। र अरू पार्किङहरू भनेको यो कालोपत्र भएको ठाउँमा चाहिँ छैन, तर कालोपत्र भएको ठाउँहरूको चाहिँ चोकहरूमा चाहिँ कतै चाहिँ शुल्क कतै चाहिँ निःशुल्क चाहिँ पार्किङ भइरहेको अवस्था चाहिँ छ।
For many commuters, the free service has provided relief from rising parking costs.
पार्किङ सुविधा रै धरहरा सबभन्दा राम्रो छ, मलाई सबैभन्दा मन परेको हो। यो पहिला अब तपाईको यो न्यू रोड एरियामा तपाईको यो एरियामा जहाँ पनि जताततै पार्किङ थियो, अलि अव्यवस्थित थियो। अब अहिले हिँड्नलाई पनि अलि बाटो त्यो पनि सजिलो, पार्किङको लागि पनि तपाईको सुविधा, सुरक्षाका हिसाबले पनि राम्रो। अब तपाईको प्रत्येक फ्लोरमा उहाँहरु प्रहरी राखेको छ काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाले। फेरि जाने बेला तपाईको हामीलाई एउटा कार्ड दिन्छ, त्यो कार्ड पनि राम्रो हो। यो फ्री पार्किङको सुविधा भनेको राम्रो र अति उत्तम पनि हो।
बाइकहरु चाहिँ 1800 जति अट्छ, अनि गाडी चाहिँ 500 जति टोकनहरु बनाएको छौं हामीले गाडीको लागि छुट्टै हरियो कलरको, र बाइकको लागि चाहिँ नीलो र रातो गरेर छुट्टा-छुट्टै टोकनहरु छ। त्यो चाहिँ सुरुमा त्यो टोकनहरु हामीले आउने बेला दिन्छौं र जाने बेला चाहिँ फर्काएर जानुहुन्छ। जसले चाहिँ फर्काउनु हुन्न उसलाई चाहिँ पछि हामीले 50 रुपैयाँको जरिवाना पनि गरेका छौं।
However, questions are now emerging over sustainability and fair implementation across the capital. Some local operators and residents say the facility is being misused with long-term parking limiting access for short-term users.
सरकारले एउटा निशुल्क पार्किङ गरेछ, तर त्यहाँ जनताले पाएन। त्यहाँ व्यापारीहरूले अरु सेवाग्राहीहरूले यहीँको व्यापारीहरूले ल्याएर दिनभरि भ्याक्युम गर्यो हैन। धरहराको पार्किङ भने त लगभग जनताले इजी एक्सेस पाउनु पर्ने हो नि। दिनभरि ल्याएर गाडी राखिदिन्छ, दिनभरि ल्याएर बाइक राखिदिन्छ, अनि त्यहाँ आउने सर्वसाधारणले खै त पाएको थियो। त्यहाँ त एउटा कोडा सिस्टम हुनुपर्ने, 1 घण्टा 1.5 घण्टा 2 घण्टा भन्ने हुनुपर्ने, त्यो पनि छैन। त्यसले गर्दा पनि हामी चाहिँ व्यावसायिक रूपले गरेर मान्छेलाई चाहिँ सारै मार्ग चाहिँ परेको छ।
Spread across 3 basement levels and roughly 150,000 square feet, the facility can accommodate around 2,000 vehicles. The B1 and B3 are designated for 4-wheelers holding over 250 cars combined, while B2 is allocated for over 1,500 two-wheelers. Authorities say recent upgrades including CCTV surveillance and fire safety installations have improved security and addressed earlier concerns. Despite minor ventilation issues reported on one level, the facility is now functioning at near full capacity. The move, backed by then Mayor Balendra Shah, is aiming at enforcing stricter no parking rules on surrounding roads such as New Road and Kichapokari. The facility operates from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for entry with extended hours for vehicle retrieval. Commuters can park their vehicles till 7 p.m. Outside designated zones like Dharhara, residents continue to face a stricter and often costly parking under the KMC's Economic Act 2025-26. Two-wheelers are charged ₹15 per 30 minutes and four-wheelers ₹50 per 30 minutes. Parking costs also vary significantly across locations. In many roadside and private parking areas, scooters and motorcycles are typically charged between ₹20 to ₹50, while four-wheelers can cost anywhere from ₹80 to $200, depending on the area and demand. Critics argue the contrast has created an uneven system, benefiting those near central zones while placing a heavier burden on others. City officials, however, defend the approach as part of plans to make Kathmandu more organized and pedestrian-friendly. As the debate continues, calls are growing for a more consistent and equitable parking policy across the capital. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Rasila Shrestha reporting for NTV World.
And we asked members of the public for their views on the unusual parking fee structure. Let's take a look at our public pulse.
पब्लिक एरियामा त एज अ फ्री सर्भिस नै हुन्छ, उनीहरूले फ्री पार्किङ नै दिइरहेको हुन्छ हैन। हामी त धेरै ठाउँहरुमा जानुपर्छ नि त, जस्तै हामीले अब सामान्य सपिङ गर्नको लागि गयो भने पनि त हामीले त केही नभने 25 रुपैयाँ प्रति घण्टा त तिर्छौं नि त हैन। 25 हामीले त कहिलेका त लङ आवर्स पनि लाग्छ नि त सामान चुज गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ। त्यही भएर यो चाहिँ हामीले माथि त बुझाउँछ नै पैसा, एक्स्ट्रा पैसा त बुझाउँछ नै हैन, तर यहाँ पनि हामीले केही छुट चाहिँ पाउनु पर्ने।
जुन अपार्टमेन्टमा जान्छ नि त्यो अपार्टमेन्टको पैसा फ्री हुनु पर्ने के। जस्तै अब मलाई वीर हस्पिटलमा काम छ भने वीर हस्पिटलको पार्किङ त फ्री हुनु पर्यो नि। कुनै कम्प्लेक्सहरुमा जाँदाखेरि त त्यहाँनिर अब पार्किङ अब त्यो भित्र काम छ भने अब पार्किङमा नि पैसा तिर्ने उता माथि केही सामान किन्न जाँदा नि पैसा तिर्ने त्यो चाहिँ नहुनु पर्ने
गाडीमा हिँड्यो भने हाम्रो जुन काम अब 15-20 रुपैयाँ हुन्छ अब यो भन्दा एक्स्ट्रा पार्किङकै 25 लाग्छ अब हेर्नु त हाम्रो गाडीमा हिँड्यो भने 15 रुपैयाँ लाग्छ यो पार्किङकै लाग्छ 25 मिनेट त्यही पनि 1 घण्टाको कुनै ठाउँमा त अब 50-100 पनि हुन्छ
नेपाल सरकारले सर्वसाधारण मान्छेको लागि गाडी भिडभाडको लागि मध्यनजर गरेर यस पार्किङको छुट्टै व्यवस्था प्लस निःशुल्क पार्किङको व्यवस्था भयो झन् राम्रो
सबभन्दा राम्रो फ्री पायो भने हामीहरूलाई राम्रो हामी त्यही जान्छौँ अझ व्यवस्थित गर्नुपर्छ अब हामीले यो पैसा तिरेर बस्न त मन छैन
सरकारले नै ध्यान केन्द्रित गर्नुपर्छ यस्तो कुरामा चाहिँ जस्तो हामीले हरेक कुरामा ट्याक्स तिरिरहेको हुन्छ नि सरकारलाई त्यो ट्याक्स तिरे बापत जनताले त सुविधा पाउन पर्यो नि त हरेक ठाउँमा चाहिँ उनीहरूले पार्किङको व्यवस्था गरिदिन सक्यो भने जनतालाई राम्रो हुन्थ्यो
यो पार्किङको भन्ने कुरा होइन यो फेसिलिटी अलिकति हुनु पऱ्यो क्या पार्किङको लागि होइन यो ठाउँहरू छुट्याएर राख्नु पऱ्यो पार्किङको लागि यो टोकेर राख्नु पऱ्यो अब जस्तै यो हस्पिटलको लागि जानु पऱ्यो होइन पार्किङ छैन होइन अब यहाँ बसिरहन नि दिँदैन यो समस्या धेरै छ क्या
पार्किङ चाहिँ अब हरेक कुरामा सरकारी ट्याक्स भनेर प्रायः जसोमा त हामीले तिरेको नै हुन्छौँ होइन यो पनि एउटा सरकारीले यातायातको कर हरेक कुराको कर लिँदाखेरि यो पार्किङको लागि चाहिँ त्यति उहाँहरूले नि व्यवस्था चाहिँ गर्नुपर्ने जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ है
पैसाले अनुसार सुविधा हुनु पर्यो त्यसको व्यवस्था पनि राम्रो हुनु पर्यो नियम एउटालाई सबैलाई लागू हुनु पर्यो एउटै नियम
पार्किङ शुल्क नलिएकै राम्रो हो जहाँसम्म लाग्छ किनभने मान्छेहरू कुनै कामले गएको हुन्छ काम सकाउने बित्तिकै त्यहाँबाट गइहाल्छ कि दिनभरि अथवा 24 घण्टा त्यहाँ बाइक राख्ने होइन कार राख्ने होइन त्यही भएर नलिएकै राम्रो लाग्छ मलाई जस्तै एयरपोर्टको समस्या अहिले गम्भीर छ क्या मान्छेहरू छोड्न जान्छ 10-15 मिनटलाई जान्छ त्यहाँ लगभग 40 रुपैयाँ जति बाइकको तिर्नुपर्छ क्या त्यो चाहिँ नलिएको राम्रो जस्तो लाग्छ
That wraps up our issue of the day. On to other news. The government-formed Asset Investigation Commission has officially started its work from today. The cabinet meeting held last week had constituted a 5-member commission under the chairmanship of former Supreme Court Justice Rajendra Kumar Bhandari. Commission Chair Bhandari took the oath of office and secrecy before Acting Chief Justice Sapana Pradhan Malla today, while other members were sworn in by Chair Bhandari. The Commission has been tasked with collecting and closely investigating details of assets held in Nepal and abroad by individuals who have held public office, retired or left office since 2005-06. This also includes their family members. The Commission has been given a 1-year mandate to complete its work. Nepal's parliamentary leaders have agreed to tighten rules on the use of diplomatic passports amid concerns over past misuse. The decision was taken at a meeting of chief whips and party representatives in the House of Representatives held in the presence of Speaker Dol Prasad Aryal. Lawmakers agreed to strictly enforce existing laws in the short term while working on longer-term legal reforms. Speaker Aryal raised concerns over previous misuse cases, calling for stronger oversight. Representatives from multiple parties stressed compliance with current rules and urged focus on lawmakers' responsibilities rather than privileges. Other lawmakers warned that misuse had damaged Nepal's international image, calling for a broader policy review and tighter controls, especially during official delegations. Officials reiterated that diplomatic passports are strictly for official use, while ordinary passports must be used for personal travel. Foreign Secretary Amrit Rai said, in fact, practical issues, including visa challenges, also need attention as reforms move forward. And Nepal's Ministry of Land Management, Cooperatives and Poverty Alleviation has begun coordinated efforts to return deposits to victims of failed cooperative institutions, launching discussions with key legal and financial authorities. The ministry held talks with chartered accountants on Monday, focusing on recovering funds from problematic cooperatives and ensuring repayment to affected savers. Separate consultations were also held with Attorney General Dr. Naren Datta Kadel and the Chief of the Central Investigation Bureau, AIG Dr. Manoj Kesi. Minister Pratibha Rao said the government is committed to starting the repayment process within 100 days as previously announced, and stressed that bureaucratic delays must not hinder recovery efforts. Attorney General Cardil said his office will play a key role in resolving key issues related to fund recovery, adding that a dedicated desk has been set up for cooperative cases. CIB Chief Dr. KC pledged coordination to speed up investigations and recovery of trapped savings. Authorities say the move aims to restore confidence among affected depositors. A climate conference held in Nepal's Khumbu region has concluded with the issuance of a 9-point Gokyo declaration calling for stronger regional leadership by Nepal and other Himalayan and mountain nations on climate justice. The conference, organized by Khumbu Pasang Lamu Rural Municipality and the climate-focused organization Saath Saathai, was held in Gokyo on the occasion of International Mother Earth Day. The declaration stresses the need to strengthen climate diplomacy and prioritize Himalayan issues in international forums. It also calls for greater engagement of local communities in policy discussions on climate change. A team of experts and participants traveled from Kathmandu through Lukla, Namche, Khumjung and Machermo before reaching Gokyo for the event. Now, government service reforms aimed at bringing public services closer to citizens have increased the workload of postal services in Tanohu district, Nepal. Under a 100-point governance reform plan, authorities have begun delivering services such as passport distribution directly to citizens' homes, boosting the relevance of the postal system after years of declining activity. At Dumre Post Office in Bandipur Rural Municipality, Chief Pratiksha Adhikari says daily mail handling has risen from around 40 letters to as many as 150. Sirish Upadhyay, the chief of the district postal office in Tanohu, says passports are now being delivered to applicants' homes in coordination with the district administration office. Officials say the initiative has helped end long queues and the need for citizens to travel hours to district headquarters for passport collection, making service delivery more efficient and accessible. Now, artificial ponds in the community forests of western Nepal's Nawalparasi district are emerging as a strong model for biodiversity conservation. A total of 26 ponds across 62 community forests in the district are already in operation, while an additional 11 are under construction in the current fiscal year. These ponds provide a reliable source of water for wildlife and also serve as an important backup for timely forest fire control. Regina Rai with our local correspondent Bikash Adhikari brings a report.
The construction of artificial ponds in various community forests of western Nawalparasi has intensified as the country enters the dry season. A total of 26 ponds across 62 community forests in the district have proven significant for wildlife conservation and forest fire control. With the increasing risk of forest fires during dry season, additional ponds are being constructed on a large scale to help minimize potential damage.
पटक त हामीले प्रदेश सरकारको तर्फबाट अभियानै चलायौं एक वडा एक पोखरी भन्ने खालको अभियान चलेको थियो अहिले आएर हामीले हरेक सामुदायिक वनलाई कम्तीमा पनि एउटा सामुदायिक वनमा एउटा पोखरी समुचित पोखरी बनाऊ ताकि त्यहाँ वन्यजन्तुलाई पानी पिउने सहज पनि होस् वन डडेलो नियन्त्रणको हिसाबले पानी पनि उपलब्ध होस् त्यहाँको माइक्रो क्लाइमेटको संरक्षण गर्ने हिसाबले पनि सहज होस् भन्ने हिसाबले पहल गरेका छौं हामी हरेक वर्ष संरक्षण पोखरी बनाउने गर्छौं र यो वर्ष पनि डिभिजन वन कार्यालयको पहलमा 11 वटा संरक्षण पोखरी बन्दैछ.
This multi-purpose artificial water body also serve as a vital water sources for wild animals during peak heat time. Water scarcity in forest areas often forces wildlife to enter nearby settlements, leading to human-wildlife conflict and property damage. To address this issue, multi-purpose ponds are being developed through joint investment by community forest and the provincial government. The initiative aims to support wildlife conservation, reduce human-wildlife conflict, and improve forest fire management. Moreover, these ponds play a crucial role in reducing the need to travel long distances to access water, providing quicker response to forest fires. Overall, the construction of ponds in forest area is emerging as a strong model for biodiversity conservation in the country. Rosina Rai with Bikas Adhikari reporting for NTV World.
International news coming up next, but before that, a quick recap of the headlines. Nepal's Home Minister resigns amid conflict of interest concerns, says the state aims to ensure impartial investigation. Nepal's president calls for federal parliament session, joint sitting scheduled for April 30 in Singhadarbar. Heatwave alert in western Nepal as temperatures near 40 degrees Celsius in Tarai. Met Department warns of heatwave conditions for next 3 days. Kathmandu's uneven parking policy sparks debate over fairness and consistency. Dharahara's free parking initiative draws scrutiny. Iran seizes 2 vessels in Strait of Hormuz. Maritime tensions escalate as Iran retaliates against port blockade. And Nepal clinches thrilling 2-wicket victory over Rwanda. Samjana Kharka shines as Nepal chases down target in ICC T20 Challenge Trophy. Israel's foreign minister has called on Lebanon to cooperate with Israel in addressing the activities of the armed group Hezbollah ahead of renewed talks between the two sides in Washington. The comments come as diplomatic efforts resume following recent cross-border tensions and a temporary ceasefire.
Tomorrow, the direct talks between Israel and Lebanon will resume in Washington, D.C. I call on the government of Lebanon, let's work together against the terror state that Hezbollah built in your territory.
The upcoming talks are expected to focus on security arrangements and reducing the risk of further conflict along the border. Now, China has said the situation in the Middle East is at a critical juncture, emphasizing the need to prevent a return to conflict. The statement follows the extension of a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Beijing has called for disputes to be resolved through political and diplomatic means.
当前地区局势处于战和转换的关键阶段，当务之急仍是全力避免战端重启。中方支持相关方继续坚持通过政治外交途径化解争端，实现全面持久停火止战，维护好中东和海湾地区和平稳定。 中方愿根据习近平主席4点主张精神，同国际社会一道，为此发挥积极建设性作用。
A mass funeral has been held in southern Lebanon for fighters from Hezbollah who were killed during recent hostilities with Israel. The mass funeral took place in the town of Kfar Sir, drawing large crowds of mourners. The ceremony follows a temporary ceasefire aimed at halting weeks of cross-border conflict. Casualty figures from the fighting remain disputed, with both sides reporting significant losses. The situation highlights the human impact of the conflict and the fragile nature of ceasefire agreements in the region. Amnesty International has said Venezuela's state security structures remain in place despite recent political changes. The organization expressed concern about continued control mechanisms within the country. It also pointed to recent government appointments as indicators of ongoing consolidation of authority.
Nuestra lectura sobre Venezuela es que el aparato represivo sigue totalmente vigente. No ha habido ningún mecanismo, ninguna política adoptada por el gobierno de Delcy Rodríguez en torno al desmantelamiento real de la política represiva. Más bien,
the remarks come amid international scrutiny of Venezuela's political transition. Now, Colombia's president has announced the suspension of peace talks with a major guerrilla group, citing concerns over alleged violations of agreements. The decision marks a setback for efforts to end one of the longest-running armed conflicts in the region.
La policía
en el mismo trato que han tenido Ecuador, completamente destruidos en 2 ciudades civiles. O sea, digamos, un orden democrático que nos lleve, pasen ahí por la televisión el mapa, que es hacia el futuro, riesgo de inseguridad alimentaria, de bajar la tasa de homicidios, pueden ascender.
Despite negotiations as part of a broader peace policy, the accusations of continued violence and illegal activities have raised doubts about the process. Now, the Kedarnath temple in northern India has reopened to devotees, marking the start of the annual pilgrimage season in the Himalayan region. Authorities have implemented crowd management and safety measures to accommodate large numbers of visitors. The temple is part of Char Dham Yatra, one of Hindu religion's most significant pilgrimage circuits. The reopening follows similar ceremonies at other key shrines, signaling the beginning of a major religious travel period. The pilgrimage season plays a vital role in regional tourism and reflects enduring religious traditions across India. Business news coming up next. For now, a short breather.
The European Commission has outlined a set of measures to manage rising energy risks linked to the Middle East conflict, with a focus on securing fuel supplies ahead of the peak summer travel season. The EU plans to launch a fuel monitoring system to track production, imports, and stock levels, prioritizing aviation fuel as supply concerns grow. Around 20% of the bloc's jet fuel imports pass through the Strait of Hormuz, raising vulnerability to disruptions. Brussels is also considering alternative sourcing options, including increased imports, while reviewing rules on fuel use and airport operations to ease pressure on airlines. On gas, member states may be allowed to fill storage to 80% capacity instead of the usual 90% to limit price spikes. Since the start of the crisis, the EU has spent an additional 24 billion euros on energy imports due to rising costs. The bloc is also preparing support measures for industries, agriculture and fisheries, alongside a fertilizer strategy and a broader push to accelerate renewable energy and electrification. Authorities in Thailand have launched a major probe into 8 shipping companies suspected of stockpiling around 60 million liters of diesel to capitalize on market disruptions. The Department of Special Investigations says 12 tankers delayed scheduled deliveries, with suspicious activity flagged across at least 20 voyages. It also included disabled GPS tracking and ship-to-ship transfers at sea. The case comes as Thailand tightens oversight of its energy supply chain amid regional uncertainty linked to tensions near the Strait of Hormuz. Authorities aim to complete hearings with the remaining firms by April 23, with potential criminal charges highlighting increased regulatory pressure on the sector. Artificial intelligence is reshaping entrepreneurship in China as a growing number of young professionals launch one-person companies to navigate job insecurity and workplace age barriers. Using AI tools to handle tasks from content creation to marketing and client management, these solo founders are building low-cost, highly efficient businesses. Some are already generating steady incomes, highlighting the commercial potential potential of AI-driven micro-enterprises. The trend is being reinforced by government backing. Cities like Suzhou and Chengdu are offering funding, subsidies, and policy support to scale up what they call OPCs, or one-person companies, a part of a broader strategy to boost innovation and tackle youth unemployment. The model reflects a deeper shift in the global business landscape, where AI is lowering barriers to entry and redefining traditional firm structures. However, questions remain over sustainability, as many of these ventures face challenges in scaling and maintaining long-term profitability. A French campaign group has filed a lawsuit in France against companies selling nitrous oxide, alleging misleading marketing practices targeting young consumers. The Antoine Aleno Association, led by chef Yannick Aleno, is taking legal action against firms linked to the Cream Deluxe brand, which markets colorful canisters of nitrous oxide. The group claims the product is being promoted for recreational use despite serious health and safety risks. Authorities say nitrous oxide has been linked to more than 450 serious road accidents in France last year, a sharp increase over recent years. France already banned retail sales of large canisters in 2021. The lawsuit seeks to block the companies from operating in France and recover legal costs, arguing that marketing practices encourage misuse. The case could take up to 2 years, while lawmakers are also considering tougher penalties for recreational use and driving under its influence.
Time now for sports update. Nepal A suffered a 70-run defeat against Oman in the opening match of the one-day practice series at Lumbini Cricket Ground. Chasing a target of 281 runs, Nepal A were bowled out for 210 in 44.4 overs. Ishan Pandey top scored with 52 runs, while captain Anil Kumar Shah added 50. However, Nepal's innings collapsed after being well placed at 188 for 3, losing their remaining wickets for just 22 runs. For Oman, Shakil Ahmed took 3 wickets, while Nadim Khan and Mujib Al-Ali claimed 2 wickets each. Earlier, Oman posted 280 for 9 in 50 overs, with Mujibur Ali scoring the highest 72 runs. For Nepal A, Akash Chand took 4 wickets and Santosh Yadav claimed 2. The second match of the series will be played on Friday. The members of a national canoe team are continuing intensive training as they prepare for the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Athletes are participating in daily sessions under the guidance of coaching staff at a training camp in Turkey. The program includes both men's and women's competitors working to improve performance and endurance. Preparations are part of long-term efforts to build competitive strength ahead of the global sporting event. Training initiatives like these reflect the increasing focus on early preparation in international Olympic sports. Time now for the weather update, first from across Nepal and then the world. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Nepal's Home Minister resigns amid conflict of interest concerns, aims to ensure impartial investigation. Nepal's President calls Federal Parliament session, joint sitting scheduled for April 30 in Singhadarbar. Heat wave alert in western Nepal as temperatures near 40 degrees Celsius in Tarai. Met Department warns of heat wave conditions for the next 3 days. Kathmandu's uneven parking policy sparks debate over fairness and consistency. Dharahara's free parking initiative draws scrutiny. Iran seizes 2 vessels in Strait of Hormuz. Maritime tensions escalate as Iran retaliates against port blockade. And Nepal clinches thrilling 2-wicket victory over Rwanda. Samjana Kharka shines as Nepal chases down target in ICC T20 Challenge Trophy. That brings us to the end of this edition of News Hour here on NTV World. Do join us through our social media pages and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Good night.